for the first, really, basically the entire tournament to that point. He needed something positive to kind of go out on from this, and he got a good second half performance in the game against the Timberwolves, the championship game, because otherwise there's not much there. I'm going to give you the rundown here, but essentially, Grayson Allen shot from 3-point range. This is a shooting guard now. Grayson Allen is a shooting guard.
I'm going to take a guess based on your numbers from yesterday.
Okay.
12%.
You've gone a little high.
Little high.
Uh-huh.
So it was closer to 10%.
He shot 8% for summer from 3.
That is not good.
It is not good, no. 2 of 23 is the final tally on that. 2 for 23.
That is typically not going to get you on many NBA rosters.
Not gonna get her done, as they say. He shot about 32% from the field overall, and about 8% from 3. So again, that's a shooting guard, or something of a shooting guard.
He's a guard that likes to shoot.
That is, yeah. That's not great, folks. Not great. And then, they like Grayson Allen and they traded for him, so obviously he's going to be around for the year. But I based on that situation, based on what we saw, I just can't. A guy like John Conchar should be playing above Grayson Allen right now. I mean, based on possibility and from what you've seen, I don't see a whole lot from Grayson Allen. He's not a great defender. He's clearly not a very good shooter, at least not at this point. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it unless he can handle the ball a little bit better, which he's not a great ball handler. He got stripped numerous times. I think of the negatives, and there are not very many negatives for a team that won a championship, but the negative would be Grayson Allen all the way around, from the antics on the court, from all that nonsense to the way he played. That would be problematic to me. But the positive stuff, Dusty Hannah's hit some big shots. Dusty buckets, getting it done. He was all about being. That's all he provided. That's all he needed to provide. Guy needed to make some shots. He made some shots down the stretch. Hit a big 3 fairly late in the game. 3 of 4 from 3 for Dusty Hannah's. Dusty Hannah's can shoot. That's about all he can do. But he can't shoot. And that is a skill. That's a needed skill. Maybe it's something for him. I don't know. Not for the Grizzlies again. The Grizzlies have roster issues. They have too many people. Everyone talking about, I like Tyler Harvey. I like these guys. I like him too. But if you look at the Grizzlies roster right now, again, you just don't. There's just a lot of spots that are filled. They got a lot of people, and they got too many people, in fact. So they don't really have room to go adding, a couple of these guys here and there, taking some flyers and some guys. At least as of right now, they don't have that. Maybe they set that up. They could set it up where that they end up doing that. But right now they don't have that. So there you go. So it's a wet and rainy day. It's kind of nasty outside. I woke up and it was pouring. All these things, but you know what? Just put a little smile on your face because you are a champion. It's a championship town. The parade will be held on, I want to say, Summer Avenue between like Mendenhall. No, that'd be nice. Go get some Guadalapanas over there. That'd be delicious. Something needs to happen. A parade, like something. You can't bring a championship home and not do something. Come on, man. What a success. What a success story. Congratulations to the Summer League Grizzlies. Get in 67129 if you want on the First Bank text line. Would love to hear from you throughout those texts. Also, you can call us 360-8255. We can take some phone calls towards the end of the hour because next segment we're going to hear from SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, who talked with Brett Norsworthy yesterday. We'll do that, and we'll have Amari Sankofa, my colleague over at The Athletic, going to join us at 8 o'clock. And we'll talk to him. And then Brett's going to join us again from Hoover, live and in living color, baby, 9 o'clock.
You think Omari's been carrying the trophy around?
Omari's not there.
Oh, okay.
He left. That's the thing about Summer League is that everyone had left by then. People don't really plan for this thing to last as long as the Grizzlies have lasted in Summer League. So, I think everyone else, there are very few media that were actually still there because everyone basically had gotten out of town last week. Texter says, people need to chill. This is the Summer League. Stop it! I'm not having that this morning.
They haven't had their coffee yet. They haven't had their championship coffee
Everybody
yet.
knows it's the Summer League. No one is literally confusing this for winning the NBA championship. Good Lord.
Tell them, Peter.
It's not the Larry O'Brien. It's the Pat O'Brien trophy. But still, it's nice.
It is a trophy for a championship. Regardless.
You play to win the games. You're trying to win. If you are in a competition, you would like to win it as opposed to lose it. That's it.
We're not talking about practice, man. We're talking about the game.
You know who won the title last year? The Portland Trailblazers. And look what happened to them. 3 of the last 4 Summer League champions have gone on to make the playoffs. That'll be 3 out of 5 this year. But don't worry about it. Hey! Come on! Unbelievable. In any event, we'll take a break. We'll come back. And when we do, we'll hear from Brett Norsworthy, who spoke with Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC. Looking forward to that conversation from yesterday on Awolo and Stats. If you missed it, don't worry. We got it for you here. We wanted those of you that didn't get a chance to hear it in the afternoon to hear it again this morning. So we will play that for you. When we return, you can message us at Sports56WHBQ, Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. We are here in the Family Leisure Studios. Peter and Austin with you. Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56 and 87.7 FM.
Chris, I understand that you had some spine issues that were very debilitating, and Schrader Orthopedic actually changed your life. What happened?
After spinal fusion surgery 24 years ago, I could feel bones rubbing together. I had sciatic issues, arthritis. I had been told I needed another fusion surgery. So I was having problems with getting out of bed, walking, carrying my child. Went to Schrader Orthopedics, got the stem cell therapy. It's been a year now, and my life has changed. I get up, I bounce out of bed, I can carry my daughter, I can do yard work, so completely changed. Basically, I forgot the pain I was in prior to that time. I felt like I was in my 20s and was able to do things that I wasn't able to play golf without being in pain for 2 days. Most of it was the neurological benefit of not having that pain every minute of your life.
Call 901-465-4300 and see how Schrader Orthopedic and Stem Cell can help you today.
Upon official review, the ruling on the field stands. First down.
We deliver jerseys, funny foam fingers, and everything you need to get ready for the game. But what you really get when FedEx knocks on your door is so much more.
FedEx Delivery.
Game day spirit. What we deliver by delivering.
The World Golf Championships FedEx St. Jude Invitational makes its debut at TPC Southwind, July 24th through 28th.
Join me, Justin Thomas, when I defend my title at TPC Southwind. Tickets are on sale at WGCFedEx.com.
Dad, what are you doing?
Cramming for college.
I'm the one going to college.
Yeah, but we need to figure out how we're going to pay for it all.
Discover Student Loans.
Discover does student loans?
Yeah, they're one of the top private student loan lenders in the country. It takes 15 minutes or less to apply, and there are no fees for the life of the loan. Best of all, I can earn cash rewards if I get good grades.
Really?
Yeah, we still have time to apply and get a great rate.
So I can just chill. College kids still say that, right?
No one says that, Dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Visit discoverstudentloans.com to apply today. Limitations apply. The best golfers in the world are coming to Memphis for the inaugural WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational. Sports 56 and 87.7 FM will be broadcasting live at TPC Southwind throughout the day, Wednesday through Friday of tournament week, keeping you up to date with the latest tournament news and talking with players and officials. Our coverage from TPC Southwind on Sports 56 and 87.7 FM is presented by Landers Ford. It's also brought to you by Curry and Jerk, Miller Lite, Gatlin Insurance, Schrader Orthopedic and Stem Cell Treatment Center, and the Half Shell.
Hey, you guys, Memphis Paints and Sports 56 are teaming up Friday, July 19th. Come win lots of door prizes, 4 golf rounds at Wedgwood, gift cards at the Butcher Shop, and 2 lucky people win 2 box seats to the FedEx World Championship Golf Tournament, valued at $400 apiece. Wow, don't forget, complimentary Central Barbecue, yum. See y'all Friday, July 19th, Memphis Paints, 699 South Mendenhall, across the street from Half Shell. Come hungry.
Memphis Paints, 699 Mendenhall, Friday, July 19th, Sports 56 Live from 3 to 6 p.m.
Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
Oh, yeah. Hall & Oates, open it up. Soft Rock Tuesday. I can go for that because that's, in this case, an interview that Brett Norsworthy did yesterday with SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey as part of our SEC Media Days coverage, and loved it, was thrilled for Brett. Great get. First station to get the commish was right here, Sports 56, 96.1, 87.7. It's what we do. Brett is tremendous at his job, so kudos to Brett. And in his honor, and because I just liked it, because you need to hear from him, we're going to play that for you now. So this is Brett Norsworthy, who you'll hear from later on in the show, speaking with SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey yesterday afternoon.
An honor. The commissioner of the SEC is sitting right next to Brett Norsworthy on Radio Row. Welcome in, Commissioner Sankey. Thank you for giving us some of your time today. I want to start off with a simple question, but a tough one, really, sort of at the same time. When Mike Slive took over for Roy Kramer, we thought there's no way this can get any bigger. It couldn't make any more money. And then with Commissioner Slive, we saw that wasn't the case. Now you come in, there's always more revenue streams, it seems. How much bigger can college athletics get than where we are right now?
That's almost the question of my day every day. And as we talk, for example, about taking media days and moving it to different cities, that's with the thought that we can even better engage fans and show the conference in different ways, with the idea that there's more opportunities out there to present our universities and our programs.
Commissioner, you addressed a lot of subjects today. I knew the California issue on likeness would come up. Also came up on rules, and you really want to be very transparent. I don't know if it came out of the A&M LSU game last year, but that kind of seemed to be the crystallizing point on getting ahead of social media and explaining.
It was not an event, a game, a commentary. Really, in 17, it just felt different, that there was more attention. And right after kickoff last year, Herb Vincent, our Associate Commissioner for Communications, and I sat down. I said, Herb, we're just going to have to change. We don't have to change this season. We're going to have to figure out how to communicate differently. Now, I can't explain everything. You know, there are tough calls in football. There are incorrect calls in football. But I want people to understand we have high-integrity people who work incredibly, incredibly hard, even in the off-season, to prepare. And during the week, it's not like you show up on Saturday, then you throw your stuff in the back of the car and go home and come back the next Saturday someplace else. There's a week-long process that our officials are expected to fulfill in order to prepare. And I think it's okay to talk about that. I think just running silent is not healthy, but we've got to find a balance. You know, the pendulum swings, and the pendulum right now is swinging to more information, and we'll try to get it right over time.
I know, Mr. Commissioner, Brett said you've already addressed this, but if you would enlighten us on name, image, and likeness. I know EA Sports is hoping that because of the suit that they can come back into being. What's the word on allowing college athletes to receive payment for use of name, image, and likeness?
I'm likely the wrong person because I've said publicly and even in federal testimony, I think the financial support provided to a student athlete should be tied to their educational and competitive endeavors. But we have in state legislatures across the country, California particularly, the notion that states can legislate certain laws that, I guess, as I understand, will prohibit an entity like the NCAA from prohibiting then this is like the worst explanation you can imagine, which I freely admit.
It's tough.
Restrict the ability for someone to go sell their name, image, and likeness. Go sell autographed pictures or go sell, their bobblehead or something like that. I don't mean to go to the theater of the absurd. And, I'm not one who's been advocating for that, but what I said today is we know there's an NCAA working group. We know there's ongoing litigation around these types of issues, and we know there's state and federal legislative discussions. And so we're going to contribute appropriately to the NCAA discussion. We're going to wait to see what happens between now and October with that working group and then represent ourselves properly in the legal proceedings. And this is not an easy issue. It's like, hey, just get out of the way and everything will be fine. There's a lot of contemplation and understanding that still would need to take place before any change could happen in this area.
This may be better for Bill Hancock, but you have a big role in intercollegiate athletics. Going forward, someday, maybe, possibly, an expansion of the college football playoff. What do you prefer long range looking out to that? Do you prefer the men's and women's basketball model of all automatic qualifiers? But let's say if it went to 8, would you want automatic qualifiers for winners of league, or would you just want a blanket 8 best teams?
I'm very careful about hypotheticals, and our position has been the 4-team college football playoff has worked well, is working well, and can continue to work well at that level, period. Now, to your point, your question, there's a lot of conversation, some among my colleagues, about what might be next. And I think that's way down the road, if ever, because we have to think through a lot. Like, there's a physical toll. So if you're around teams that play, 12 regular season games, a 13th in a conference championship game, and then potentially 2 more, that's a
lot
big
of football.
Physical challenge. And you don't want to ramp up injury. So what's really going on there? What's the ripple effect through bowl games? We were talking right before about our announcement in early June. We've added the Las Vegas Bowl kind of on and off, and a bowl in Tampa down our selection order and maintain the Liberty and others. But do those exist? And what happens in the regular season? So I do think we've seen the college football playoff is the standard. So when a fan base expects to be there and is not, but still may have had a great season, but not in the 4, that has an effect. All of those things are evaluative points before we ever jump into a discussion about numbers. And I think we have 4 best teams for a reason, and it ought to be whatever best teams. And as I said before, we're committed to 4 best teams because it works really well.
There's no question it works great for the SEC, and I can understand all coaches and the commissioner being happy. But if you were part of a league that hasn't made it for a couple of years, is that what it's going to take? Is commissioners from a league or 2 that don't get to this playoff on a regular basis, they're going to go, wait a second, we want access too.
We've enjoyed, and I've enjoyed during my 4 seasons as commissioner, the chance to have a team in the college football playoff. I want to continue enjoying that, and I don't look forward, should we ever end up 5th or lower with our best team. That would be hard, and I respect, the Pac-12, the Big 12, and the Big 10 have faced that, and the Pac-12 and Big 10 on multiple occasions, and I respect how my colleagues have conducted themselves and would expect the same of myself. Yet it would create pressure. And there are likely pressure points that can be envisioned that would raise the level of dialogue. But when we created the college football playoff, I was not the commissioner at the time, everyone understood there were 4 spots for 5 autonomy or these big conferences, plus the chance for a Notre Dame like they did this year or another conference in the group of 5 to play in. So we all knew that risk existed, and we accepted it under a set of principles. And that's where I say, hey, it's been great because we've had 2 teams. We've had 1 team every year. but we said, here's our principles, and those principles still work for a 4-team football playoff.
In your time, both working in the SEC office and as commissioner, we've seen a lot of broadcast and media rights changes, 5th-year anniversary of the SEC network coming up, with the 2:30 Central Time CBS game. That has been very important. Do you see a day, it's coming up soon, that those rights for that game, that premier game on Saturday afternoon, that it's open for open bidding, or does CBS get first crack at it?
Well, some of those things are protected by contract, so I can't fully answer that, not that I'm avoiding. But we've had a really healthy relationship for decades with CBS. And you're right, there's this marquee game, 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern, that's nationwide on broadcast television. That's been really, really healthy. We had 10 of the top 20 television broadcasts involve SEC teams last year, highest rated conference championship game telecast. So there are great things around that. We have 5 seasons left, and it remains to be seen what direction. But, I would look at CBS and say they've done so well, and that relationship is so strong that certainly speaks well for the future opportunities.
You mentioned earlier you are leaving, and I assume it's another revenue generator, another revenue stream. You're leaving Hoover. We know you're going to Atlanta next year, Nashville the year after that. You got a bowl game in Memphis. You've had SEC basketball games in Memphis. Would you consider Memphis in the rotation for media days?
Would we consider? Sure. But if I'm asked that by New Orleans tomorrow and, there's a set, this is not a revenue generating endeavor. This is a publicity generating endeavor. And this is an opportunity for people, I think, in the big picture way, to potentially touch and feel the SEC in a new way at a time when there aren't any games to watch. There aren't any.
We got to have
meets, matches. Yeah, so we make your July, right? Because you get to have a week-long conversation about SEC football. And so the movement is about, hey, Hoover's been great for us, but there are people in Atlanta who'd like to touch and feel the SEC. And we saw that last year. We had 5,000 people at a fan event. There are people in Nashville. And to your question, there are people in Memphis and in other places who would have that same interest. So we've said Atlanta next year. Successful experiment last year. Nashville, we've got some affinity there, we know, around our tournament, and we'll see what the future holds.
One last thing for the esteemed commissioner of the SEC, Mr. Greg Sankey. I'm going to do the unthinkable, Commissioner. I'm going to ask a men's basketball question at SEC
That's great.
Football Media
That means we're
Days.
doing something right at men's basketball.
Dave and I both around Memphis with the AAC and the University of Memphis Tigers and their date with Georgia after the new calendar year of 2020 starts. I love the idea of the games with the SEC and the AAC.
It is. They're part of our men's basketball officiating consortium, and we've had great working relationships. In fact, our associate commissioner for men's basketball, I hired from the American Athletic Conference office. So Dan Leibovitz is very familiar with all of those programs, including the program at Memphis. We match up 10 of our teams in the Big 12 SEC Challenge against their 10 teams. And what we do with the American Athletic Conference gives us the opportunity to match 4 quality SEC opponents against 4 quality American Athletic Conference opponents. And we think that's healthy for us and for college basketball and for the American Athletic Conference.
It should be fun.
In fact, Memphis has James Wiseman. Georgia in that game will have the number 2 high school recruit. So that makes it very interesting. And I know there's plenty of people here would love for you to bring the SEC basketball tournament back here too.
We're in the state, so give us credit for being in the state of Tennessee. We announced last November a long-term commitment. We've done something I think special in Nashville, and it's really you're trying to balance accessibility. And I think the exact geographic center of the SEC membership now is like a little bit northwest, about an hour northwest of Birmingham. So Nashville's that city that's kind of in the center, but you never know, right?
We span from Columbia to Columbia now.
That's exactly right.
And all
over to College Station, and part of what works with Nashville, I know there's city rivalries, but again, we'll build the state of Tennessee's tax base.
Commissioner, we really appreciate your time, and I know I'll see you out and about during college football season.
Absolutely.
You, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Commissioner.
There he is, Commissioner Greg Sankey, who joined Wolo and Stats yesterday. Good job by Brett to snatch the commissioner up before anyone else could get him. And make sure that we got that great info. A lot of interesting things coming out of that interview, the discussion about where it's going to be located, about the long-term future. It would be nice to see the men's basketball tournament here, but obviously they've got that. It's like a 20-year commitment to Nashville, something crazy. So it won't be happening anytime soon, that's for sure. But it isn't too far away to head up and say hello and stop off up in Nashville for that. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Got some news coming out of the American Athletic Conference Media Days, the preseason prediction. The media predictions are out. I'll tell you where the University of Memphis sits there, the preseason media poll. That is on the way when we return. Also, more on the SEC Media Days, a little more Grizzly talk as well, coming up in hour number 2 when my man Omari Sankofa from The Athletic joins me to break it down. We'll have a lengthy chat with Omari about any and all things. So if you got a question Grizzly-related, please feel free to shoot that to us via messaging. You can do that on Facebook, Periscope, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at Sports56WHBQ. You can also do that on the First Bank text line, 67129, or you can give us a call at 360-8255. Back after this as we continue Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
Where Memphis comes for real sports talk. Sports 56 and 87.7 FM.
Sleepy Z's Mattresses by Michael Zellner is the winner of the Memphis Most Best Mattress Store for 4 straight years. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and Sleepy Z's is the mattress store where you can save 50 to 80% off retail store prices every day of the week. They carry Serta and several other brands and have hundreds of mattresses to choose from. Go there today and mention Sports 56. You'll get an extra 10% off any mattress or furniture. Call Michael directly at 901-359-1040. It's Sleepy Z's, located at 2790 Kirby Winton Road.
Wallow and Stats will be on location at the Spirit Shop, 4848 Poplar Avenue, Tuesday, July 23rd from 3 to 6. You'll be able to join in on a whiskey tasting event from 3 to 7. Sports 56 will have lots of prizes, like rounds of golf at Wedgwood, maybe a Butcher Shop gift card, and 2 very lucky people will win 2-box tickets to the World Golf Tournament. Central Barbecue will be on hand to fill your belly. Wallow and Stats on location at the Spirit Shop, Tuesday, July 23rd from 3 to 6 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
This is the sound of the DQ Cheeseburger Lovers deal being calculated by a cheeseburger lover.
2 DQ cheeseburgers. Huh, just $4. 2 DQ doubles with cheese, only $5?
And this is the sound of that cheeseburger lover checking that math.
Wait. 2 DQ cheeseburgers, $4, and 2 DQ doubles with cheese, $5. I'm burger rich.
The DQ Cheeseburger Lovers deal. DQ. Happy tastes good. Price and participation may vary.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Lemon Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC-accredited facility, and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Lemon Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselemonbrace.com.
To yours, Wolf Chase Lim and Brace.
Did you know Davis Motorhome Mart is one of the top 10 Tiffin dealers in the U.S.? Come tour the 7.5 acres of beautiful travel trailers, motorhomes, fifth wheels, and toy hauler towables half-tons. Motorhomes from 27 feet up to 45 feet from brands like Winnebago, Coachman, Puma, Highland Ridge, and Tiffin. Take advantage of Davis Motorhome Mart's big blowout sale on 2019s and 2020s on their way. Stop by your gateway to travel freedom. Davis Motorhome Mart at 1145 East Brooks Road in Memphis. Call 901-332-3414 and cruise by the website davismotorhomes.com.
Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurts. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
My head on the phone, thinking of you till it hurts. I know you hurt too, but what else can we do? Tormented and torn apart.
Yeah, Air Supply, baby. Air Supply kicking it on Soft Rock Tuesday. Your requests are always appreciated at 67129. Feel free to text those in on the First Bank text line. Also, you can call Austin if you want, 360-8255. And you can give him your requests there. Coming up,
I do my best to accommodate requests.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk more SEC Media Days with Brett Norsworthy, who is down there at 9 o'clock. Also, we had some news, as I mentioned, going into the break from the AAC Media Days going on up in Newport News, Rhode Island. The University of Memphis has topped the west side of things in the preseason media poll. Third consecutive season that the Tigers are the preseason favorites over on the west side of the AAC's football division. It was close. It was very close between the Tigers and Houston. 15 first-place votes for the Tigers, 14 for Houston. I think that is fair. I think the Tigers should have been tops. I think that matchup in November could be fantastic, and I think we'll hear more today coming up from Mike Norvell and from everyone associated with the Tigers, but I think that's a fair placement. UCF over on the east side, no surprise, is atop the poll. Cincinnati too over on the east side as well. Third, interesting to point. There's a lot of people that kind of have kind of squeezed out a little love for Tulane in all of this. And Tulane is kind of I'm not going to say like they've got a ton of buzz or anything like that, but Tulane's got a little like there's a few people that like them as a sleeper that think they've got some momentum building. Excuse me, with that program down there, and maybe they do. I'll believe it when I see it. But they are voted third in the West, behind Memphis and Houston. SMU, Navy, Tulsa round out the west side from the AAC. Over in the east, as I mentioned, UCF and Cincinnati 1-2. Then USF 3, Temple 4, East Carolina 5, UConn 6. They'd probably be like, I don't know, 15th if they could, because they're out of the conference. They will be soon enough, and are kind of irrelevant to be quite honest. So I don't even know if they have the proper spot for them. Anything lower than 6th would probably be more appropriate for what UConn's all about. But nonetheless, that's going on as well. I don't like how all of these conferences have kind of lined these up to be right alongside each other. Everyone's kind of sharing the same space. I think it would make a lot more sense for a lot of other conferences to kind of move this around a little bit more. Particularly like the American, and I feel like the American probably would be better served not only doing it in a different time, but doing it in a different place. Because the texter is, as people are wont to do, criticizing. I get it. I criticize things, so I understand. Criticizing us for going to the SEC Media Days, but not to AAC Media Days. But number one, AAC Media Days is in Newport News, Rhode Island. There's basically one team of interest. That would be Memphis. Getting there is difficult, so you gotta fly there, do all that stuff for basically a day and a half, and then you're back out. SEC Media Days lasts for the entire week. We have tons of fans of all those schools that you get to do in one fell swoop, and it's about a 3-hour drive away. Not even a 3-hour drive, really. I just did it last week or a week before. It's very easy to get to Birmingham. So in Atlanta next year will be slightly further, but not. That's about 6 hours. Then Nashville, I mean that's 2 hours.
All regional places.
All very regional. Yes, good point, Austin. Whereas the AAC, for some reason, is having their event in Newport News, Rhode Island, which is not anywhere near any of the schools. Like, it's near, I suppose, UConn at this point, but UConn is about to be done. So who's near? They do this every year. It's the clam bake. It's a unique thing to call it the clam bake and to go and it's a remnant of the Big East kind of connection that the AAC had. So it is unique in that regard. Like you do go and eat lobster like on the bay and all that stuff. That's cool. But like it's not convenient for most folks to get there. And it's not convenient for fans or for a lot of media from a lot of these other schools to actually go and cover it. Especially while at the same time you've got the SEC happening where you have a tremendous amount of interest there too. So it's difficult. Like I don't get that. The AAC needs to come to its senses and figure out, like, do you actually want as much coverage as you can possibly get, or are you just happy just kind of doing your thing and just having this fun little clam bake and everybody's cool? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So to answer your question, that is part of it. It's just logistically, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us with, you've only got so much travel budget that you can do, and there's only so much you can do. It doesn't make any sense. We've got fans of, for example, today at SEC Media Days, you've got Georgia jumping in right about now. They will start here at the beginning of the next hour. Their whole thing. They've got, Kirby Smart, Jake Fromm, J.R. Reed, Andrew Thomas there. Then Ole Miss alongside them in the morning session with, Matt Luke and Matt Corral and all those guys. Like, then Tennessee and Texas A&M in the afternoon. We have fans of all of those teams, tons of them around here. So, you go and you get a lot of bang for your buck. You go and you get a lot of coverage for a lot of those teams. With the American, it would make a lot more sense because the conference is so spread out to try to find a little more of a centralized location rather than,
we got a call from our buddy Jarvo just now. He said they had a contract to finish in Rhode Island when it was the Big East, and apparently they're moving their offices to Dallas next year.
Well, they are, but I don't know if they're going to move the event or not. I think they've moved their offices. They've already done all that. But as far as the event goes, I don't know if there's been any announcement about that. It certainly hasn't seemed like they've had any sort of any kind of push to do it. It certainly doesn't seem that way to me. And I should also point out, I think Brian, I appreciate the tweet. Newport, Rhode Island, not Newport News. For some reason I want to say Newport News. That's from Virginia, as he rightly points out. Newport, Rhode Island. So it is. They are in Rhode Island, but I got the wrong Newport. I don't know why I get the Newport News. It makes me want to just say Newport News, but he's right and I'm wrong. So thank you, Brian, for the for the correction there. Now, some of you have texted in also as well about the comment about Power 5 and Greg Sankey saying in his interview there with Wool and Stats that there was an opportunity for someone outside the Power 5 to win the championship. You guys, we all know, we're all adults here for the most part. Everyone knows why you have to say those things. You have to kind of, you got to think about the logic of the system. It works beautifully right now. The system as it exists at this very moment works fantastic for Greg Sankey and for the SEC. So it's in their best interest to keep it all going as much as possible. That means that includes the way that the Power 5 are dealt with and the way that the Group of 5 are dealt with. All those things. So for Greg Sankey, it's in his best interest to say, oh, absolutely, the Group of 5 has a chance to win a championship when he knows full well, and everyone else knows full well, that's not true. That's just false. There's no way for them to do that. But anything that keeps the current system as is probably a win for the SEC. He's not looking to expand the playoff. He's not looking to do this stuff. Where's the money in it? They're making money hand over fist right now. There's definitely no money in expanding to allow the Group of 5 to get a little foothold and to start getting some of that money. That's not in their best interest at all. So, yeah, he's going to say that to make it appear as though there is some level of possibility. But no, come on. We know how this works, right? There's no chance. But they're doing again. He has to do that to try to.
It's like politics. They have to say certain things.
You just placate, exactly. You just placate that, folks. So there you go. I mean, he knows. Trust me, he knows. He knows. Everyone knows. You just can't say it because that would burst the bubble and ruin this veneer. Think about what would have to happen for a team like Memphis, who's really, really good. But what would they have to do? What would have to happen? Not just for Memphis. Memphis could win all the games, and they are favored in every game. They could win every game. And it wouldn't matter. It would be out of their control. They would need other teams to at least lose 2, maybe 3 games each, everyone else, to have an opportunity.
And Alabama and Georgia ain't losing 3 games apiece.
No.
And neither is probably Ohio State or Oklahoma or any of them.
No. Silly stuff. Thank you for, I want to appreciate this texter who's very logical. Says, as a Tiger fan, I will even say it makes zero sense for you guys to go cover AAC Media Days. Whoever texted that obviously doesn't understand how expensive it is to go to that place. Thank you. That's exactly right. It's extremely expensive. The trip is expensive. The place itself is expensive. It's very silly for that to be the spot where you're doing all this stuff. If it were closer, it would be a lot easier for us to be able to do it. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk to Omari Sankofa from The Athletic, my colleague over there. We're gonna chop it up about a Summer League championship for your Memphis Grizzlies. You got Grizzlies questions, text in 67129. Omari was out in Vegas for a big chunk of time, so he will be able to tell you what the atmosphere was like. We'll ask about that, about the young players, about where things are going. A very promising, the most fun summer that the Grizzlies have had in a long, long time. Been a hell of a lot of fun. We'll take a break. We'll come back and continue here live from the Family Leisure Studios. Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Need physical therapy but don't know where to go? Tried physical therapy but had a bad experience? Grab your physician's referral and head to Revolution Physical Therapy at the corner of Goodman and Getwell. At Revolution PT, you'll get one-on-one, hands-on therapy. Better and more thorough than just going to the gym. Revolution is locally owned and staffed by neighbors who care about your maximum recovery. And they accept all major insurances. Certified in dry needling, expert in myofascial release. Always relaxed and friendly. Revolution Physical Therapy is just what you need.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
College football season is approaching quickly, and that means it's time for SEC Media Days. Brett Norsworthy is broadcasting live from Hoover, Alabama, all this week, previewing the upcoming season and bringing you interviews with players and coaches and SEC insiders. So tune into Sports Time with Wello and Stats and throughout the rest of the day for SEC Media Days coverage right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7. Brought to you by First Bank, Jason's Deli, Campbell Clinic, Blue City Cafe, All-Star Chevrolet, Ronnie Grizzani's, and Schrader Orthopedic and Stem Cell Treatment Center.
Join our producer extraordinaire Austin Etheridge this Thursday from 11 to noon at Landers Ford, 2082 West Poplar, Collierville. This will be another chance to win World Golf Championship tickets at Southwind, July 24th through 28th. That's this Thursday from 11 to noon at Landers on Poplar in Collierville to practice your putting skills and have a chance to win WGC tickets at Southwind, July 24th through 28th. See you there.
If you're the owner of a company and you're tired of a dirty office building, or maybe you're tired of dirty restrooms, or floors and carpets that are filthy, or windows that you can't even see through, I've got a solution. Let Trinity be your cleaning solution. Trinity Professional Services. They're putting professionalism back in cleaning. They specialize in stripping and waxing and buffing floors, in cleaning carpet. Just make it seem like it's spring outside. Window cleaning where you see through and everything shines. Commercial janitorial services specializing in final construction cleaning. Hey, the people that own this company, they are big construction people. They know what needs to be done. So if you would like it done the right way, call Todd Pope or Tommy Ferrari, the former Tiger quarterback, at 833-6773. 833-6773. It's Trinity. They're your cleaning solution.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
it started, of you thinking that I had been untrue.
Yeah! Summer League Championship Tuesday! And there's no way to celebrate a championship like listening to soft rock. Turn that up a little bit. Let's get come on. You got to get the chorus of this.
All in our feelings, man.
Oh, it's beautiful. I don't know who sings this. Who sings this song?
This is Ambrosia.
Brandon Clark on the way. This is how people are feeling about Brandon Clark this morning. Feel for you, baby. That's everyone's feeling about Brandon Clark this morning. Just a love, just a huge love of this guy. I'm not even sure how much time Brandon Clark has actually spent in Memphis. Basically got drafted, couldn't officially be traded. I'm sure he popped in for a little bit here and there, but then basically all the contract work and all that stuff was done in Vegas, and he's been in Vegas since then. I'm not even sure how much time he spent in Memphis, more than...
he's going to get a hero's welcome. He never stepped foot in the city, hardly.
He never set foot in the city, and yet he's already one of the most accomplished Memphis basketball players in the history of the world. Good morning, everybody, by the way. Hour number 2. Rainy, going to be rainy again, chance of flooding because the ground is completely saturated by water. It's been raining for days and days. It'll continue to rain. Be careful out there. Bring your rain gear. Bring all that stuff. Just letting you know that's how it's going to be this morning. I am Peter. No CJ for the rest of the week. He is out on vacation, but we do our best without him. Austin Eldridge producing the program this morning, as he will every morning. You can get in touch on the text line 67129. You can call as well 360-8255. We can take some phone calls this hour while we talk to my guy, my colleague, my pal over at The Athletic. Great deals going on. Big college football announcement for those of you that are college football fans. Now, I would imagine that's most of our listeners. We just added a ton of college football writing talent, great specials going on, 40% off an annual subscription. So feel free to mosey on over to The Athletic if you have not already subscribed. Do that now. And you can also get what me and Omari are going to bring you on the Grizzlies, a Summer League Championship Grizzly summer. Omari Sankofa, you were out there with the champs for a lot of this run. I mean, what a feeling this morning. You got that championship feeling. You got drenched in champagne. What are you doing to celebrate a Summer League championship?
Let me tell you, as somebody who has just always been a Summer League buff, before I even covered the NBA, I used to buy like the $13 Summer League pass and just sit and watch it. So I take this seriously. This is exciting. It's funny. I think we talked last week. Just looking at the amount of people reading our stuff.
It's crazy.
Like I can say with confidence that people care about this Summer League championship more than any regular season accomplishment we've seen from this team over the last year. At least probably two years. This is the most exciting thing to happen for the Grizzlies in a while. And it should be. I mean, like Brandon Clark is awesome. The young talent on this team is exciting. The fact that they won the Summer League championship without John Morant, obviously, you can't read too far into it, obviously, but it does show that, on some level, this team does have some guys who could potentially be a part of the future, with Clark, but also Yuta has some really nice games. Tyler Harvey, put some points up on the board, and people are tuned in. People are excited. It's a really cool thing to see.
I genuinely cannot believe the amount of interest and the excitement and all that stuff. I mean, it is bizarre. I mean, I'm thrilled. As I mentioned, selfishly, as you talked about, I mean, it's great because it's great for people to be interested in our stuff. But man, like people are wild about it. And I think, Omari, I don't know, it's hard to say. Maybe you can, but it seems to me like this team has gone so long trying to squeeze every drop from the grit and grind era, trying to squeeze every drop from the core four and then whatever's left of the core four, and then Mark and Mike, and it's not a knock on those guys because they were fantastic, but I think the attendance levels were dropping anyway people were starting to lose interest because they knew that this group was not going to win anything of substance. That it was nice, but the guys involved were ready for a new challenge. The fans, I think, were ready for a new challenge. And to me, this demonstrates that everyone was really even more ready than we thought to just try something different.
It's the full package for sure. This is definitely the result of having a new coach, new front office, and bringing in sort of this new era of Grizzlies basketball. I think that has made excitement so high this offseason. Started with drafting Jaren Jackson last year and him really, enabling, I think the new front office to turn the page. Now that they have a player that they can build around. I think Jaren's presence made it easier, and now you add Ja, and now you add Brandon Clark, and you have this new stylistic shift to something that will be more modern and something that will be very different from the core four style of play. I think the full combination of everything is the reason why excitement is so high right now. I had a lot of people ask me through my Twitter DMs, who's starting tomorrow? Is Grayson Allen going to play? Is so-and-so going to play?
Those people betting? Those people are betting, though. I get a lot of those, too. Like, who's starting? Okay, listen, I'm not helping you with your gambling problem, all right? Come on.
Yeah, I had to ignore a lot of them, unfortunately. I didn't even know Summer League gambling was a thing until last
Everything
week.
is a thing. Anything that you can gamble on is a thing. People will gamble.
Yeah, I know that now.
Well, and I used to get the daily fantasy people are big too. Is this guy going to start? Is this guy going to? What about this guy? You think he's going to play 20 minutes? What's he going? I don't know. I'm not the coach. Jeez, what? Come on, figure.
Yeah, it's like, believe it or not, I'm not hunting down Taylor Jenkins every hour of the day and trying to figure out the starting lineups. I find out when you find out. This isn't. These aren't the scoops I'm trying to get people. I'm not.
That's right.
Believe it or not, I'm not very concerned about who's starting the summer league games.
Well,
no offense.
I know.
I
love those people because they're into it and that's cool. But I can only give you so much. I can only give you so much help. Watching these. I mean, obviously the big headline, other than championship and the parade, which I believe is scheduled for Summer Avenue in about an hour, probably. It'll look like a lot of just cars driving by, but trust me, it's a parade. The big headline is Brandon Clark. He was a guy that a lot of us really, really liked and didn't necessarily think that he would get to the Grizzlies spot in the draft. Thought somebody would snatch him up before then. Grizzlies, once he got past 20, said, we better jump up and get this guy. Traded a 2024 second-round pick with Oklahoma City to jump up to get Brandon Clark at 21. And he has rewarded them with an absolutely off-the-charts summer thus far. I don't even know if the man's been to Memphis. I think he has, just to kind of check in, but not for very long. He goes out to Vegas, wins Summer League MVP, Summer League Championship Game MVP, along with a championship. He's the first player in the relatively short Summer League history to do that, Omari. Finishes with 15 points, 10 rebounds, two assists, 2 blocks, shot 5 of 9 from 3. He only hit 4 threes in his entire season last year, and he hit 5 in the 6 Summer League games that he played. 55% from the field, 35 PER, which is the best in Summer League and one of the best in Summer League history. I think it's safe to say that the Grizzlies have found themselves, I don't know if he's a star, but I know he's pretty damn good.
He's definitely pretty good. He is one of the more unique players I've seen, just in that, this guy, immediately I think would be one of the most athletic players in the NBA, but also, doesn't rely on his athleticism in ways that you would expect. He more so leverages his athleticism to, accentuate his incredible timing, his incredible touch. He makes so many heads-up plays around the basket. He's a great shot blocker. He just has great overall touch. Like his 5 for 9 for 3, I think is very, very promising, given that was probably his biggest knock coming out of college, and one of the biggest reasons why he went 21st overall instead of top 14, which, there were a lot of people who thought he was a lottery talent. Just very, very promising showing by him. I don't know if he's a day one starter next season, but I think he's a guy that especially if he's knocking down threes, with some consistency. It'll be tough to keep him off the court because he's just such a great defender. He's so good at moving in space. He makes so many good heads-up plays. He's just smart. He's a very smart basketball player. And, it's just exciting to, see him on the court. It's like you almost see his brain is just completely, he's just he never stops trying to make the right play. I mean, he's everywhere. I could just talk about him, for the rest of the next hour. And, I know you're working on some stuff with him too, but he's incredibly smart, and it's very fun to watch him make those plays and see what he's going to do next, because he can pretty much do everything on the court.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is, he's a classic example of overthinking it in the draft. I mean, this was a draft, Omari, that you and I talked about, not full of tons of talent necessarily. Not they're at least not like top level talent, apart from Zion and Ja, and some people really like RJ, and we'll see how it goes. It was not necessarily a promising summer for him. But outside of that, it's like, okay, well, you got your Jarrett Culvers and your DeAndre Hunters and your guys that are like, okay, they're probably pretty good, but they're not a sure thing. Meanwhile, you got a guy in Brandon Clark who put up the kind of efficiency that only Zion did in college for a high-level college team that made a significant tournament run. A guy that proved that he could play basketball at a very high level. Forget about the whole measurement stuff. And this guy had plenty of athleticism to make up for the lack of length. And he's sitting there hiding in plain sight, and all these GMs pick, guy X guy. If there was a redraft, he would be a lottery pick for sure, and probably a top 10 pick when all was said and done. It's one of my bigger annoyances. Like, I like potential as much as the next guy. I like length as much as the next guy, but when the guy that's just really good at playing basketball is sitting right there, and you need good basketball players, it feels foolish for a lot of these teams not to have taken him.
It absolutely does. And this, as you mentioned, was a classic case of teams just overthinking something that's, pretty obvious. He's 6'8", he has a 6'8" wingspan, and, he obviously is, an old rookie, and those things are just big knocks against players today. But it's also kind of goofy to think that if he had a 6'11" wingspan instead of a 6'8" wingspan, maybe teams would have been higher on him, or if he was like a year younger, it would have made a big difference. It's like this guy could just play basketball. He is an incredible jumper. That's a weird thing to say about an NBA player, because almost all of them can jump. But this guy is just such an amazing, just pure athlete that, any concern about his wingspan or anything else, he just disappears. He's so good at positioning. He's so good at defending. His timing, everything is just world class. And at that point, any concerns about wingspan should disappear. There are guys in the NBA who have massive wingspans that are poor defenders because they have poor technique. Mm-hmm. Having a good wingspan is a tool. It's not a guarantee of anything. It is just a tool. Some guys use it extremely well. Some guys don't. And, Brandon Clark had, like a Kawhi Leonard wingspan, then, it would be obviously incredible, but that's not a knock against him. He's still very great at moving in space, and that doesn't limit him in any way. So I think the NBA, and it happens every year, there are guys who don't have those same measurables who end up falling for whatever reason. But, yeah, the NBA, they overthink certain guys. Some guys can just play. We saw it with Fred VanVleet a few years ago. Some guys can just play the game of basketball. And, they go 10, 20 spots through it, and they probably should have gone. And teams like the Grizzlies, they move up, they get those guys, and, the cycle repeats itself the next year. But Brandon Clark absolutely probably should have been top 14 if not top 10 in this past draft.
I think it would have been. And that's the thing is that you especially for guys that are, I'll say rotation players. And Clark, I think, could be more than that. But right now, let's just pencil him in as a rotation player. The same with VanVleet. And, VanVleet came up huge in the NBA Finals, in spite of not having much wingspan and being a little undersized and all this stuff. But he's a guy that just has great basketball IQ. And, I mean, Brandon Clark makes up for the lack of length with great anticipation, great basketball IQ, the ability to get vertical. You saw how many shots he defended at the rim last night, without fouling. He only committed 9 fouls, I think, in the entire summer league. In young players, I mean, look, Ivan Rabb picked up like 5 or 6 fouls just walking around out there in 15 minutes, and he's been in the league for, this will be his 3rd season. Some guys just get it, and some guys don't. And, he's a guy that just gets it. That brings me to the next thing. So, Clark is clearly just leapfrogged way ahead of Rabb and way ahead of, a lot of guys in that rotation. Rabb and his people, they both have to do this because this is kind of how it works. Both sides of the negotiation have to agree to push back a guarantee date, but they did. So they pushed it back to the middle of October. Do you see any future for Ivan Rabb on this team, especially after this summer?
The summer league didn't help his case at all. I do like Rabb. I like that. Yeah, he's a strong rebounder. He's a stronger rebounder than you would expect for a guy who, is still very much on the skinnier side as a 6'11" big. He showed some passing chops, I thought, last season, especially in G League, and he works to expand his range. And you still see, the outline of him, having some sort of workable skill set that could make him a valuable big if he's, knocking out threes and rebounding at, solid levels. But that summer league showing was not good at all. He kind of looked lost out there. As you mentioned, he was fouling. He never really looked comfortable offensively. Shots weren't falling. He just could not get into a rhythm. He struggled to make the right decisions with the ball. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. He didn't look comfortable at all, and it wasn't the showing you would want from a guy who is entering year 3 and, is entering next season with a chance to carve out a bigger role for himself. I thought it made sense. I thought it was good that he and the Grizzlies pushed his guarantee date back from yesterday to mid-October, and now he gets, camp and some preseason to show that Summer League was a fluke and he absolutely belongs on this team. But, there's still, a roster crunch. They have 15 guaranteed rosters spots right now, and Rabb's on the outside looking in. They could create some more space, obviously, by, trading guys or reaching buyouts with guys. But he's going to have to show that he can play. He's going to have to show that he can play. The Grizzlies, they have a pretty solid big man rotation now with Jaren Jackson, Jonas Valanciunas, and, Brandon Clark, who I think is more of a 4 than a 3. And, Ivan Rabb, maybe he could be that 4th big, maybe he can't, but I think the pressure is certainly on him right now.
You are kinder than I am to Rabb. I think he's done. To me, if you haven't shown it by now, you're not going to show it. I mean, Brandon Clark showed so much in 6 games in summer, and to me, he showed much more than Rabb has ever shown at any point in regular season, preseason, summer league. I don't know that I've ever seen any performances from Rabb that made me think like, oh, okay, this guy's like just it's not there. And I mean, again, you're right that they have an opportunity to take more of a look at him, and maybe the new regime. This was not their doing, making this deadline for the guarantee date and all that. So maybe they need another chance to take a look at him. That seems reasonable, but to me it's almost more of an administrative, like, this is an opportunity for us to potentially trade this guy to a team that's looking to shave a little money off. This is a $1.3 million guarantee. If the Grizzlies take back a similar size contract, 1.5 or whatever, from one of these teams that's dealing with tax issues, that $1.3 million in a tax team could potentially be, $5-6 million of savings when all's said and done. That's not nothing. And to me, it seems more likely that would be Rabb's ultimate destination rather than part of the roster. It's hard for me to envision anything he could do at this point to undo the damage that he's done by playing the way that he's played.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. I think his contract certainly has value in that sort of trade. And his front office has been very savvy in identifying those types of trades and getting out on the better end of them, as a rebuilding team should do. He was very good with the hustle last season. And obviously I think that's the bare minimum if you're going to play in the NBA. He did have some good performances there. But the way I've always went about Summer League is that a guy playing really well in Summer League may not guarantee that they're an NBA player, but a guy playing poorly in summer league is almost always a guarantee that they could not play in the NBA. And as you said, this is like year 3 of rap, just not really doing much to stand out. Generally by year 3, you're ideally good enough to not even be in summer league. Of course, we didn't see Dylan Brooks play this season because, I guess he was still recovering from the toe injury as well. But at this point, he's also proven that he's probably good enough to not, be a summer league guy. So I guess presumably Rap still does have time to prove that he could be an NBA guy. But I think you bring up a valid point that, there's a good chance that this era is already closed for him. And at this point, he's more of a trade chip than anything else.
We'll find out soon enough, I suppose, as the Grizzlies have some of those guys on the roster. All right, Omari's going to stick with us. We're gonna ask about because a lot of people want to know about Andre Iguodala's situation, about some of the other veterans that are sitting there with their expiring contracts that are just kind of potential trade bait. We'll discuss that. We'll talk about Taylor Jenkins and the impressions that we have of the Grizzlies coach thus far, the moves that have been made, all that stuff. So a lot to get to here as Amari's sticking with us through the hour. If you have a question about the Grizzlies, now's the time to get it in. You can do that at 67129 on the First Bank text line. You can also dial up at 360-8255. We can take your phone calls and your questions on the First Bank phone lines as well. Amari Sankofa, my colleague at The Athletic Memphis, joining us here to talk Grizzlies as we continue here in this championship Grizzlies, by the way. Summer League championship. Come on, man. Amari was out in Vegas to be. It's a shame you didn't stick around, Amari. You could have just extended that out. You would have known. You could have been covered in champagne and covering your first championship here.
Hindsight's 2020. Now I know next year that however long I'm there, I'm just going to do the very end of it. Putting my faith in the Grizzlies. I'll never doubt again. This is they're going for the repeat. I'm told by sources. So
it's funny. It's funny because most media covering Vegas like you were already done. Like there's very few people that are still left in Vegas for the championship game. So it's a very weird situation. Like everyone was basically ready to leave by the end of last week, but they just keep playing these games. So. There you go. Eventually, you've got a champion. We'll take a break. We'll come back and continue here on The Experience. Amari Sankofa joining me for this hour, talking a little bit about the Summer League championship run of your Memphis Grizzlies. Back after this, Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Get happy with Johnny Radio's Happy Hour. Weekday afternoons from 1 till 3 on Sports 56 and 87.7 FM.
Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Is your air conditioning system ready for the hot Memphis summer? Good news, it's spring cleaning time at Conway Services. We'll come out and perform our exclusive 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your air conditioning system for only $69. Did you know the number one cause of air conditioning system breakdown is dirt? A dirty air conditioning system can literally starve the life from your home's cooling system, causing untimely breakdowns, higher utility costs, and even premature equipment failure. We'll remove years of dirt, grime, and leaves from your air conditioning system, making sure you're ready for the hot Memphis summer, all for only $69. It's like taking your air conditioner to a car wash. Plus, right now, we'll treat your air conditioner with a special Teflon coating to help protect against the hot Memphis sun. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511 and call this week and we'll perform your super tune-up for only $57.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
I can't believe it. That Gerald is presenting the quarterly budget report with finger puppets?
Look, here comes a 1.7% decrease in fixed overhead. Hello, everybody.
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico.
Who are you? The projected increase in organic Q3 revenue. Hooray!
Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Campbell Clinic now offers daytime walk-in care, and you don't need an appointment. If you've got any kind of urgent break, sprain, strain, you can walk into any of their 5 convenient locations Monday through Friday from 8 until 4. There's no long wait you have to put up with the ER, and those doctors are really good, but they're not orthopedists. They're not world-renowned orthopedists who have come up with different procedures and written the manuals for them that are used everywhere in the world, and I'm not kidding you. And you can now see those doctors who treat the the Tigers, the Grizzlies, the Redbirds. You can see them today without an appointment, and I'm talking Collierville, Germantown, South Haven, downtown at the Med Center, or even the Campbell Clinic Spine Center in Cordova. Now, if you've got something pressing, you got to go to work, and you can bear the pain until the evening, there's Campbell Clinic After Hours. That's Monday through Thursday from 5 to 8 in Germantown, South Haven, even Saturday morning in Germantown. If you're injured, don't wait. Visit Campbell Clinic Walk-In Care or Campbell Clinic After Hours.
The best golfers in the world are coming to Memphis for the inaugural WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational. Sports 56 will be broadcasting live at TPC Southwind throughout the day, Wednesday through Friday of Tournament Week, keeping you up to date with the latest tournament news and talking with players and officials. Our coverage from TPC Southwind on Sports 56 is presented by Landers Ford. Also brought to you by Rooster's Men's Grooming Center, Blue City Cafe, Edwin Watts, Jason's Deli, First Bank, Memphis Paints, and Ronnie Grisanti's.
Hey, you guys, Memphis Paints and Sports 56 are teaming up Friday, July 19th. Come win lots of door prizes, 4 golf rounds at Wedgwood, gift cards at the Butcher Shop, and 2 lucky people win 2 box seats to the FedEx World Championship Golf Tournament, valued at $400 apiece. Wow, don't forget, complimentary Central Barbecue, yum. See y'all Friday, July 19th, Memphis Paints, 699 South Mendenhall, across the street from Half Shell. Come hungry.
Memphis Paints, 699 Mendenhall, Friday, July 19th. Sports 56 live from 3 to 6 p.m.
Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
Soft Rock Tuesday continues here on the Experience. Though CJ Hurt for the rest of the week. He'll be back on Monday. I am Peter Edmiston, though, and Austin Eldridge taking care of us, doing the DJ work for Soft Rock Tuesday. Also, my friend Amari Sankofa from the Athletic Memphis, my colleague over there, joining us for the hour to talk a little bit about the Grizzlies celebrating a Summer League championship. That's right, a Summer League title coming home for the Grizzlies. 3 of the last 4 teams that have won a Summer League title have made the playoffs, Amari, so I assume the Grizzlies are going to make it 4 out of 5.
There is no question in my mind that this is the next dynasty in the making here.
Yeah, that's right. The Warriors won in 2013, and look what happened there. So, I mean, obviously this portends great things.
Clearly, they need to be Brennan Clark every year for the next 5 years. Like, let's have Brennan Clark playing this thing when he's 28. I mean, this guy can just rack the MVPs up.
Brandon Clark. All right, so on less enthusiastic, less exciting news. So we've talked about this away from the mics, but the Grayson Allen situation was this was not a great summer for Grayson Allen. Let's just get right down to it. He comes over to the Grizzlies as part of the Mike Conley trade. I wouldn't say he's a focal point of the trade by any stretch of the imagination, but the Grizzlies liked him. I mean, they didn't. He wasn't nothing. He wasn't just thrown in there as some random guy. They like the guy, but he didn't do much to reciprocate that love on the court, at least, with a brutal level of play, punctuated from time to time by some good plays. But I would say for the most part, it was not a great summer on the court. And then the fact that he picks up more technicals than Mike Conley ever did in his history with the Grizzlies. He picked up 2. Grayson Allen did. And then 2 flagrant fouls, gets kicked out of a Summer League game with the same kind of issues with petulance and everything else that we've talked about that have kind of gone with him for his career. Did you know his final numbers, Amari? You know what his final numbers are for the Summer League?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't have his final numbers, but I thought he didn't shoot it too well.
Well, that would be correct. He did not shoot it too well. How about 32% from the field, and how about 8% from 3? That would be
pretty bad.
That'd be an 8, not an AD, not an 18. 8, 8% from 3, 2 of 23 from behind the 3-point line. I don't know if what do you see for how much rope does Grayson Allen have with this front office? What do you see? Like, is this problematic, or is he going to just kind of shrug this thing off and go on about his business and be a significant part of the young core?
It's an interesting question because this front office does appear to like Grayson. The team didn't appear to be too freaked out or concerned about his double a lot of attention, and also it's just a bad look to get ejected from a summer league game. It was an incredibly bad look for him to foul Grant Williams, twice in the 7-second span, and the High Five fans on his way out. It just wasn't a good look for him. Especially when, as you mentioned, he shot 8% from three. And this guy's a 6'5" guard. His NBA role is going to be to hit threes and, hopefully play good defense as well. And, the fact that the front office, still appears to be high on him indicates to me that they think that he can become a high-level shooter and a high-level defender. This front office has talked a lot about bringing in character guys, bringing in guys who fit this new culture that they're trying to build. And Grayson Allen, presumably is a part of that plan as well. He is an interesting guy just in that, I can't recall him ever getting in trouble off the court. But on the court, he's had these episodes where, obviously at Duke, there were 3 separate occasions where, he tried to trip players and he had his captaincy stripped from him. And he had the 1-game suspension. And he didn't really have too many incidents in his rookie NBA season. Not that he had that many opportunities because he only played, I think, 38 games for Utah last year. But, even 1 or 2 things has got to happen. Even the on-court incidents have to, stop if he wants that additional rope to figure out, just the NBA pace, where he's got to start knocking out threes at a high level now so that it's easier to live with, some of the things that he does, because you can't have it both ways, right? You either have to, not play well, but also not be a distraction on the court. But, you are a distraction at times, but you're playing at such a high level that, makes up for it, because he's certainly not the only guy in the NBA who has a tendency for those sort of plays. It's just that the other guys play high-level basketball, and he hasn't done it yet. So he's got to figure 1 or 2, both of those things out.
Yeah, I think that's. I don't know. We'll see. But it was a pretty. And I thought honestly, like, just watch him play. Like I didn't. He didn't defend particularly well. He got blown by the Rick Barry's grandson. Whatever the kid's name, I forget how many of the Barrys there are. Chad Barry, Charlie Barry, I don't know. The Barry kid went right by Grayson Allen like he wasn't even there. Had a couple of those. He had the ball stripped away from him. Didn't handle the ball particularly well. I don't know. Just didn't see a lot of promising stuff from Grayson Allen in any way, shape, or form. Anybody else on this group? Bruno Caboclo's, he's got his contract guaranteed. He'll be part of the roster. And I thought when he was interested, Omari, when he's actually interested in playing, he did some good stuff. He just didn't seem like he was all that interested in playing until the last couple games.
That's what I saw from him too. He just wasn't very aggressive for most of it. I thought he played well for the most part, but he wasn't very aggressive. He seemed like he was more comfortable floating around the perimeter, instead of going in, drawing contact. And I think the last 2 games for him were definitely an improvement. I know some people on Twitter were surprised that he was playing since he's 23 and, is in year 5 of the NBA, which I thought was a fair point. He also still has less than a season of NBA experience under his belt, so he's still, relatively young for a 5th-year player. I think he and Brandon Clark are around the same age. But, yeah, I think with Bruno, for him, it was more so, he's already proven to a degree last season that he belongs on the NBA court. I didn't think it was weird to put him in like summer league, like he's still within like that summer league range. But I thought he looked good enough, especially once he was more engaged toward the end. Anyone else
On the roster, do you think has a chance to actually make the final regular season roster? Your Tyler Harvey shot the ball well. Dusty Hannes obviously is a good shooter. Shaq Buchanan, Paris Lee, these guys. Any of those guys with the roster crunch have any possibility of making the team?
One guy that I was curious about, and he only played 2 games, but I thought Judah looked really, really, really good early on. He just looked so much more comfortable with the ball in his hands. He was so much more decisive. He shot the ball, significantly better. I think he had a couple threes, which, that was one of, his bigger knocks coming out of college. He was good defensively. I just thought he looked really, really good. And, obviously he's on a 2-way deal. But, if he continues that strong play, maybe it'll make sense for the Grizzlies to bring him on and.
Well, at least he's on a two-way. I mean, the same thing with Conchar. I thought Conchar looked pretty good too, and I'm fine with those guys getting their opportunities, on those two ways, and you could figure it out next year. But at least they have a spot. They have some. They're in the mix officially. With this group, you can't say that about the other guys.
Right. Yeah, and I certainly expect you to have a much bigger role next season than he did last season. Beyond that, I thought Shaq Buchanan made some really nice heads-up plays. Like, he's a great athlete. He's got long arms. I thought he played really well defensively. If he can get like a workable jump shot, I think he's a guy that could do some things because he is a great athlete, and I thought he played some really nice defense last night. Not last night, but just last week in general. I thought he made a lot of nice heads-up plays, and he's a gamer. He went to college, obviously, with John Morant. I'm curious to see if he can stick around a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's got a chance. I think the hustle could be fun. There's some decent talent there. I don't think any of those other guys are gonna make it any further than that. Texter says the parade is at 11:30 on Tillman. That sounds about right. I look forward to that. It's a little rainy, unfortunately, for the parade. So, but hopefully there'll be some folks out there on Tillman with some signs. That'd be terrific. I don't think any of the players are going to be there. That's for sure. But maybe some folks will be out there. We talked about the trades they've made, and they've got now. If you look at the roster, the biggest and most prominent one, people that have been discussing. I know you've dealt with it. I certainly have dealt with it with a lot of questions. The Andre Iguodala situation. Iguodala technically is a member of the Memphis Grizzlies at this point. $17 million contract, the highest paid of the Grizzlies. But I don't know that he's ever going to. I mean, I guess if nothing happens, he'll have to come to Memphis at some point for some obligations, but I can't envision him being a part of the team and actually playing any games in Memphis. How long do you think it goes before the front office decides that they should just go ahead and buy this guy out?
I think, I think you mentioned this on Twitter yesterday or the day before. I think if it gets to October, and you have preseason games coming up. Maybe at that point you go ahead and part ways. I think the first priority, which this is the first priority for the Grizzlies, is to find a trade for him and get some value back. Mm-hmm. But the Grizzlies, they do have a roster crunch. It probably would make more sense for them to either go into the season with a roster opening just for additional flexibility, or to use that roster spot to bring MLE guy in or a biannual guy in just to shore up the depth a little bit more. Iguodala obviously is a great player. He'll be a great locker room mentor. You want to have veterans on the team for what figures to be a young team next season, but he really is overqualified for that role. Obviously, they could hang on to him until the trade deadline and continue to search for a deal, but I'm just a little skeptical that there's going to be a realistic market for a 35-year-old who's making $17 million, given the cap situations that a lot of teams that think they can win a championship next season are in. There may be a deal out there that Grizzlies should absolutely look, but I'm just not necessarily of the mind that they should let this linger all the way until February for what ultimately may just set you a second-round pick. I just think that the return on the potential trade probably isn't worth keeping Iggy all the way until then. If you buy him out, it's fine. You'll save some money. You'll get a roster spot. Like, that still helps the Grizzlies. And there's no need for them to let this linger to past October or so, in my mind.
As you mentioned, I'm working on a Brandon Clark piece for the Athletic, and in addition to that, I think I may have to work on or do like an explainer or try to do a lengthier thing to help folks, to walk people through the Iguodala situation, because I think, I don't know, like, to me, Omari, logically, it feels like I don't think people are really thinking this thing through. Because, okay, so you got Andre Iguodala, obviously, multiple-time champion, big part of things in Golden State, but he's 35. He makes $17 million. And, in terms of shooting and all that in the regular season, he didn't do much for Golden State last year. Wasn't all that great, honestly, in the postseason. He does a lot of the intangible things, but is he as a straight up serious upgrade for a lot of teams? I'm not sure that at this point in his career he really is. The bigger issue, though, is the teams that would actually want to get Iguodala presumably are the teams that are trying to win a championship, that see him as a championship type upgrade. He upgrades your DNA. He's that kind of a competitor, etc. There are very few of those teams that are out there. And among those teams, there are fewer still who have trades that make sense, because the Grizzlies, there's no cap space. You're not just sending Andre Iguodala into nothing. You got to take back some stuff, and trying to look at the other teams that are out there and find logical moves. If the Clippers aren't willing to give up Mo Harkless, which it sounds like they're not willing to do, he's the only contract that really makes any sense at all on that roster. And the Rockets are in a complete state of flux after the Westbrook deal. It's extremely difficult to figure out what kind of a situation would make sense there. Teams may have some level of player exception, but they don't have one that's that big, and they're not taking that much money on to pay all that tax on it. So logically, I think people just have this assumption. They hear the name Andre Iguodala and they think, well, my God, of course you should be able to trade him for something. I mean, but when you actually get down to it and say, okay, how are we going to make this something? How are you going to get to the something? I'm struggling to find anybody right now that makes any sense that's going to allow for the Grizzlies to have any kind of a deal where they don't take back really bad salary. I don't know what else they're going to be able to make up for in a deal like this.
And I'm somewhat surprised that this has become such a big talking point on Twitter. It seems like there's a lot of people who are of the mind that
some people are mad about this, Omari. They're mad.
Yeah. Like, it's confusing to me. It's like people, like a lot of people say, there's absolutely no reason why the Grizzlies should trade him. Golden State, if they wanted them to get him to a contender, they shouldn't have traded him to us. And now they have to do what's best for the Grizzlies. And he's Andre Iguodala, and we can get something for him, so we should do that. And it's become this big, rallying point. I know I've tweeted, I know you tweeted that, if they reach a buyout with him, it's like, fine. They got a first-round pick, to take his contract, and that was what the trade was for. It wasn't for him. It was for the first-round pick.
Right.
And, and there are people who are like, no, like, we cannot buy him out. We cannot get screwed over. We're going to do what's best, and that's that. And, like, the Grizzlies, like, they got the first-round pick. They've
already won the trade.
Fine.
They've already won. It's over. Like, come on, man.
It's over. Yeah, like, you don't have to, I've seen people say, it makes me so happy that, the Grizzlies are, standing up for themselves. Like, no, like, they're not the victim here. It's, this happens. Guys get bought out. Like, that's just how you do business in the NBA. It's not a unique situation. Andre Iguodala is in sort of a unique spot in that he is simultaneously overqualified for the veteran mentorship role that some people want him to play, but also probably not going to net the asset that the Grizzlies would ideally want in a trade just because of his age and his contract. As you mentioned, it's really hard to see a workable deal that would make sense considering both the Clippers and the Rockets just gave up a lot of first-round picks.
Mm-hmm. Tons. The Rockets have no picks left, to give up, really, of any note.
Yeah, and it makes no sense for those teams to give up additional picks for Andre Iguodala.
And are the Grizzlies going to hang on to Andre Iguodala in the hope to try to get a deal and cost themselves a chance to keep a young player on the roster? Like, are you gonna say, oh, you know what, man, we got to cut, DeAnthony Melton because we want to keep Andre Iguodala around just in case we get a deal, or we're going to cut Josh Jackson because we want to keep this? No, the roster spot is much more valuable as a way to mature, to help young talent mature than to try to hang on in the hopes that you're going to squeeze out a highly protected first-round pick at the deadline from some team that's gotten extremely desperate. I just think that's same thing with a Jay Crowder or a Solomon Hill or Miles Plumlee or any of these guys. Like, they have some value on your roster, I suppose, just to play games. But like, ultimately, if it comes down to that, and you need to figure out whether you're going to cut a young guy in a development year, you get rid of the veteran every time, and you suck it up.
Yeah, and it's fine.
And it's fine.
It was an A+ deal for them. They like that lottery pick from Golden State, which I think is protected 2022 through.
It's 2024. It's 2024 is when
2024.
Yeah.
That might be a lottery pick. I mean, that's why they made the trade, and it's just fine. They need a roster spot. Iggy's probably the easiest guy on the deal to reach a buyout with. Teams do it. I mean, we saw last year. The Hawks traded for Carmelo Anthony, and they got a first-round pick that could become 2 seconds, and they sent Dennis Schroeder to OKC, and then they bought Carmelo out, and they basically paid, $24 million for a potential first-round pick, and, to get Dennis Schroeder off the roster. And, if the Grizzlies, if they buy Iggy out for, like $15 million, and you get a lottery pick for $15 million, then that's good business. That's what the trade was for. That was the intent behind it. I'm just very surprised that this has become such a big talking point, because it's, I guess in the grand scheme, it's not that big a deal.
It's a very small thing. Yeah. It's not that big of a deal. We'll take a quick break, come back and wrap up this hour with Omari Senko. If we've got a few more questions, if you want to get yours in, you can at 67129. Back after this on The Experience, Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Check out Dave Voloshin and Brett Norsworthy with Sports Time, weekdays from 3 till 6 on Sports 56 and 87.7 FM.
Hi, folks. Rob Walker, Infinity of Memphis, and we've got a new Infinity crossover vehicle that has raised the standard of comparison to a new level. Imagine having both sports car performance and eco-friendly efficiency on demand, working together to empower every driving experience. The result of 20 years of engineering, QX50's award-winning variable compression turbo engine is the world's only engine of its kind. Like 2 engines in one, it delivers a combination of power and efficiency that is truly in a category all its own, and only Infinity has it. You'll never sacrifice performance for the sake of efficiency again. And QX50 MSRP starts at only $36,550, which is less than its Acura, Audi, and Mercedes competitors. Add to that QX50's award-winning sumptuous interior, and you have the best combination of performance and comfort in the mid-size crossover segment.
MSRP excludes destination charge, tax, title, license, and options. Infinity of Memphis or online at infinityofmemphis.com.
Kay, I understand you suffered from symptoms of Parkinson's. Can you tell me how the Schrader Orthopedic Group with the stem cells helped you?
Stem cell had been something I had been researching for quite some time for Parkinson's, and I knew stem cell was something that was to be investigated, but when I heard about the Schrader Clinic and that they use your own stem cell, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I came up for my consultation and I said, I'm ready to go. I saw my first sign with my right hand because that's where I was first aware of my Parkinson's. And my hand had been drawing up. I did what I normally do, like stretching my hand out, and I stretched and stretched and stretched, and all of a sudden, both hands looked exactly alike.
I know you went in for Parkinson's, but what else happened?
Have TMJ dysfunction, and as I stretched my mouth and I kept stretching, I thought, it's not cracking, it's not hurting. So that was another benefit.
Call 901-465-4300 and see how Schrader Orthopedic and Stem Cell can help you today.
Are you looking for a high-quality, family-oriented country club experience? Then look no further than Windike Country Club. As a member, you have access to the men's and ladies and junior golf programs, the best par 3 in the Southeast, and 2 18-hole golf courses that you're going to absolutely love. Windike is also a great place for weddings and wedding receptions. Keep it in mind. For more details on how to become a member, call them today at 754-1888 or email membership@windike.com.
It's all about the fun, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
These seats are amazing.
Shoot it!
We deliver tickets, team merchandise, and everything you need to get ready for the game. But what you really get when FedEx knocks on your door is so much more.
FedEx Delivery.
Game day spirit. What we deliver by delivering.
Driving is freedom. The freedom to keep moving, to control your destiny, and to choose your path. And now, that freedom fits in the palm of your hand. It's called Ford Pass, the only app that gives you roadside assistance, Ford Pass rewards, and now when you buy or lease a new Ford, earn points you can use toward flexible complimentary maintenance that gives you well, more freedom. Ford Pass, built to keep you moving. Built Ford proud. Visit your participating Ford dealership to find out about getting flexible complimentary maintenance when you buy or lease a new Ford and sign up for rewards.
Roadside assistance is included for certain Ford owners and available to everyone for a per-service fee. Ford reserves the right to change program details without obligations. Visit your participating dealer or FordPassRewards.com for program rules and restrictions. Ford Pass, compatible with select smartphone platforms, is available via a download.
Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurts. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
Yeah, Toto celebrating Summer League victory, just as I am. Omari Sankofa is. We've been talking about the Grizzlies this hour, as Omari's been guesting with me here to talk a little bit about that. Coming up 9 o'clock, Brett Norsworthy joins me from Hoover to talk SEC and the SEC Media Days. Got some news coming in as well. Big news from the AAC we'll talk about too upcoming. So, Omari, how do you rate Taylor Jenkins? You were out there with the guys for a while talking to some of the young players, and you saw the group. He's already won a championship at the tender age of 34. I mean, you got to say, not bad, right?
No, I mean, I thought he had a pretty good showing. I think it's tough to kind of, judge schemes and whatnot at Summer League, just given the overall chaotic nature of it. And, the Grizzlies probably could have used some more shooting, obviously, because next season, that's what he's been preaching, is that we're going to shoot the ball a lot better. But I thought it was good. I thought just the more intangible stuff, like team chemistry, guys buying in, guys being happy to be there. All that stuff was great. A lot of guys showed up, over the course of the week just to be there, to meet Jenkins, meet the front office. Jaren and Ja were there. Valanciunas made an appearance a bit last week. Tyus Jones, Anthony Belton. Definitely seems like, Taylor Jenkins is enjoying himself, and, the guys enjoy playing for him. And, I think just the momentum that this can give you going into training camp and, in the preseason and whatnot, can be beneficial. To have a team that at the beginning of a rebuild is getting along, has just some nice positive energy going. All those things, I think are credits to Taylor Jenkins and the front office and what they're trying to build. And Taylor's certainly saying all the right things just from a scheme standpoint. It remains to be seen how they will actually play next season, but I would give him high marks thus far for sure.
What's next for Zach Kleiman and the front office?
Yeah, they still have some roster moves to sort through. They still have access to their MLE and their biannual, and assuming you're able to part ways with a few guys on the roster, through buyouts, whether that's Iguodala, whether that's Solomon Hill or Miles Plumlee, I think it would make sense to do that, and then pursue avenues to maybe get another vet in the locker room, maybe find a way to get another young guy in, if that's through trading Ivan Rabb or some other avenue. But, I do expect them to have a few more roster transactions just between now and over the course of the next month as they put the finishing touches on it. And
there's kind of the unannounced move has been reported extensively, but not. I don't know if they're waiting for certain. I don't know, but a 2-year minimum signing. Marko Guduric. I think that will be done at some point. I don't know exactly how they're going to slot him in roster wise. They may be waiting for. You still got Justin Holiday's cap hold on your book at this point. You might be trying to work out some kind of a sign and trade with him. Tyler Dorsey, theoretically, you could still be hanging on to him for similar purposes. So some of the administrative stuff is still out there, but I would expect Guduric to be part of the team and another potential shooter. And I think an interesting player going forward. The other thing, Omari, and you and I have written about this a little bit. We've talked for basically most of this hour about the Grizzlies, about young players, about the potential, about the future, about all this stuff, like big picture issues for them. Not one time have we mentioned the name Kyle Anderson. Not once. Who was the Grizzlies' mid-level signing last year, was a big part of the future. Still only 25 years old. Obviously, both shoulders are potentially a problem for him, but theoretically, at least, he's supposed to be healthy. Where do you put Kyle Anderson in all of this?
I think he definitely fits what they're trying to build. At this point, he is more of a vet, but he's also still only 25 years old, and it's not hard to see him being a part of what they're trying to build moving forward. Year one for him obviously was very uneven, given that it took the coaching staff some time to figure out how to use him adequately, and right when they started to figure that out around late December, early January, he started to have the issue with his shoulder, and it ended his season after about 50 games. So, I feel like we still haven't truly seen what Kyle Anderson can do, which obviously he's a 6'9" forward who can handle the ball, above average passer for a wing, and is an excellent defender. I think he is a guy that, certainly fits what they're trying to build moving forward. I think one thing that, make me question if he will truly be here, through the duration of his deal, is that one, they call him slow-mo for a reason. This is the team that's talked about playing faster, getting up and down the court. Like, I think slow-mo fits that. Like, I don't part ways with him because he, isn't a guy who pushes the ball quite as much. Like, I think he fits what they're trying to build, but like I said, we just haven't seen a lot of him on the court in the Grizzlies uniform doing a lot of that. It seems like last year, for whatever reason, he was in the corner a lot, and he was mostly just a rebounder and defender. So I'm curious to see what Taylor Jenkins is planning for him as far as that. And then, too, he's on a pretty, team-friendly deal. He's making about, close to $10 million. And, especially as that contract moves into its final year, I think after next summer, that could be a contract that could probably easily be moved for something in return. So I think next season for him, I'm just curious to see how he fits into this new scheme. If Taylor Jenkins is comfortable using him as a ball handler, given that they have 3-point guards. And, I think the Kyle Anderson experiment has a lot of potential, but I'm just a little skeptical to see, if he's a great fit for what they're trying to build on the court.
We will see. Omari, great stuff. Again, you can read all of Omari's work, and he's been very busy over the last couple of weeks out in Vegas and here and elsewhere all over the place doing stuff. You will be filling up your inboxes and filling up your websites with that as long as you're a subscriber. Go and check it out. Omari, great stuff. Thank you for spending a little extra time with me this morning, and enjoy a little, hopefully a little time away, because you've been busy, man.
Yeah, I got some vacation time coming up the week after next, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And maybe the Grizzlies will have a few calm weeks after it was a very busy month. So,
maybe.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on, Pete.
I mean, absolutely, anytime. Omari Sankofa, my colleague over at The Athletic, terrific stuff from him. When we return, we're going to talk to the man himself, Brett Norsworthy. He will be live in Hoover talking SEC Media Days. Got some big news coming from the AAC as well. All of that when we will continue here in the Family Leisure Studios. Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 87.7 and 96.1 FM.
Memphis's hometown event is taking on a new identity. The World Golf Championships FedEx St. Jude Invitational makes its debut at TPC Southwind, July 24th through 28th. Don't miss PGA Tour superstars Justin Thomas, Brooks Koepka, and more.
Join me, Dustin Johnson, when I return to TPC Southwind. Tickets are on sale at WGCFedEx.com.
Soulfish Cafe has done something that no other business in the history of Memphis has ever done. They won 3 different categories in the Memphis Most. They won it for the best catfish. We all know that's the best catfish, and you can get it fried like everybody does, or you could get it, if you wanted to, grilled or blackened. It's the best. Everybody says it. Then there's seafood. We know about their beautiful shrimp. You can get those fried. You can get them grilled. The shrimp tacos are terrific. Memphis Most, best seafood. Then there's soul food. Yes, a third category, soul food. Their veggies are unbelievable. They've got this sauerkraut sausage Cajun dish that is amazing. I love the cucumber salad. Everything is always so fresh. And now, there's 3 locations with a 4th one coming to Wolf Chase soon. The original Cooper Young, the shops of Forest Hill Irene, and, of course, the newest in East Memphis. That's on Poplar, just east of Perkins in the old Wolf Cameron location. They're the best. You said it. They're Soulfish.
Liberty Mutual Insurance presents and Doug.
Limu, there's a woman threatening to sign up for generic car insurance. Grab your birdseed and let's go.
I'm going to sign these papers right here, right now.
Ma'am, drop the pen. Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Thanks, Limu, Emu, and Doug.
Don't thank us, thank Liberty Mutual. But also thank us.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Equal housing insurer. State laws apply.
College football season is approaching quickly, and that means it's time for SEC Media Days. Brett Norsworthy is broadcasting live from Hoover, Alabama, all this week, previewing the upcoming season and bringing you interviews with players and coaches and SEC insiders. So tune into Sports Time with Wello and Stats and throughout the rest of the day for SEC Media Days coverage right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7. Brought to you by First Bank, Jason's Deli, Campbell Clinic, Blue City Cafe, All-Star Chevrolet, Ronnie Grizzani's, and Schrader Orthopedic and Stem Cell Treatment Center.
Hey, you guys, Memphis Paints and Sports 56 are teaming up Friday, July 19th. Come win lots of door prizes, 4 golf rounds at Wedgwood, gift cards at the butcher shop, and 2 lucky people win 2 box seats to the FedEx World Championship Golf Tournament, valued at $400 apiece. Wow, don't forget, complimentary Central Barbecue, yum. See y'all Friday, July 19th, Memphis Paints, 699 South Mendenhall, across the street from Half Shell. Come hungry.
Memphis Paints, 699 Mendenhall, Friday, July 19th. Sports 56 live from 3 to 6 p.m.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt. This hour is brought to you by Acura of Memphis. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
By request on Soft Rock Tuesday, send those requests in. 67129. Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience without CJ Hurt. That's right, CJ's out for this week. I am still Peter Edmiston, though. Make no mistake about that. He is still Austin Eldridge, a.k.a. Almond Milk, part of the Dairy Boys on the other side, doing his thing. And on top of that, we've got all the way through the magic of communication from beautiful Hoover, Alabama, in the Winfrey Hotel, where you could hear the buzz and the excitement because Georgia and Ole Miss are milling about, talking, walking, doing their thing at SEC Media Days. He is none other than Brett Norsworthy. Good morning, Brett.
All right. Glad to be with you. Eric Clapton, better known as Sheryl Crow's favorite mistake.
Ooh.
That's the song, you know?
That is, I did not know that.
From their torrid love interest, yeah.
Wow.
If the websites I read are true.
You just never know what you're going to learn from Brett. You just never know.
May, December situation there. I mean, geez, Louise. I mean, come on. Cheryl's what, like 20, 30 years younger?
Yeah, at least.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. I mean,
Cheryl's my age and Eric's not.
Woo. Hey, God bless you. God bless you. So Brett, you are there in Hoover. Good job, by the way, on getting the commish yesterday. We played that interview earlier in the program. It was excellent. And enjoyed hearing from him. And the discussion that you guys had, I thought was pretty fascinating with regard to how the whole thing is going to kind of shake out money-wise and everything else. As you've seen things unfold here, and then we're kind of keeping an eye on what's going on in Newport as well, with Mike Oresco saying that they're not going to replace UConn. They'll stick at 11 for the time being. Greg Sankey said that there was still an avenue for a group of 5 team to win a national championship, to get into the playoff. Was he just saying something nice because he had to?
I think he mostly was speaking very technically, and technically he's right, but we know the avenue is one that is very, very fraught with pitfalls and not a direct congruent line. It's difficult. I do think Central Florida the last 2 years, under any 8-team playoff without automatic qualifiers, they would have been in it. If it was all just 8 at-large teams, they definitely would have been in it, and I think could have made some noise. Let's say it had been 8 the last few years, and they'd have been the 6, 7 seed.
Mm-hmm.
They could have won. They could have won that game easily won that game and made some noise. And I think we're going to expanded playoffs. And when we do, I'm not at all opposed to automatic qualifiers from each league and a non-Power 5 team being in it at all. I wouldn't mind, though, just the 8 best, but I see why legally and for the soundness of the sport, you wouldn't do that. And I'd be okay with it not being that way, whichever way it is, Peter. When it's 4, I like it. When it's 8, I'm going to like it. If it goes to 16, I'll like it. If we go to some 96 team Josh Pastner bracket for college football, I'm going to like it then. And we're still going to have controversy. It's never going to be perfect. The NCAA men's basketball tournament is not perfect. Most years, I do think the best team wins that, but not always.
Well, and that's true. Not always. And if it's the trade-off of excitement for a true measure
I don't mind it.
Of championship, that's kind of how it goes. What do you make then of the fact that Mike Oresco did say that they are unlikely to replace UConn? Is that the right thing to do?
I think it is the right thing to do, and I definitely want that instead of more. I like it with Wichita State, and I like it with Navy, but I think to have a real league, not to kind of balkanize yourself, you need to have a member institution that plays in all the primary sports year-round across every sport. I mentioned Arkansas State University, and it was not received well by a lot of people. But what they've accomplished, I think, would be a nice addition. Some have suggested Middle Tennessee State University. I'm fine with that. But I'm also fine where Mike Oresco is kind of in the holding pattern. Instead of just doing something for the sake of doing it, I think he's a very prudent, judicious man and knows what he's doing. And kind of the long form, long game, patient game might be best.
Well, and that's we'll find out if that isn't the case. But I think ultimately. I was halfway intrigued, honestly. Weirdly enough, because there was a report I talked about, and it was strange, but Buffalo wanted to throw their name in with Mark Allnut, the former deputy AD.
He's doing a great job.
And the more I thought about it, I was like, geographically it doesn't really work, but like they got decent. Their programs are in pretty decent shape. That's not the craziest idea. If you were going to add a 12 in both sports, they're not the worst choice.
No, they're not, and Mark Allnut is really getting it done. You look at football and men's basketball, and Nate Oates parlayed that into the Alabama basketball job. He's doing a good job. Some have mentioned North Texas State, and that's an old Tiger administrator there.
That's true. I mean, it's the old Tigers are sprinkled around. Left and right.
They really are, and that's a good thing for you to get that out there because they remain loyal to someone that was good to them, and in both cases, those two gentlemen were treated very well in Memphis, and then that helps you, and they're on the way up too, both of those guys.
Oh, I absolutely agree. Now to the business at Hoover, and you're seeing as you're talking to me, milling about, doing their things, Georgia and Ole Miss. Let's start with Ole Miss. Of course, because you'll hear a lot of Ole Miss right here on these airwaves with you very much in part of the mix for the Rebels. A tricky year for Matt Luke potentially with a new athletic director, Ross Bjork, of course, going to Texas A&M. You've got new coordinators, both of whom have some potential baggage to deal with off the field, but who have pretty strong credentials on it. What is the atmosphere and the mood around Ole Miss football with all of this kind of swirling?
Well, it's very anxious, as it always is on season's eve, but I think it's a little more fraught with anxiety this year, coming off at one point last year being 5-2 with the late game comeback at War Memorial against Arkansas, and then don't win another game all year. Go 0-5 down the stretch, had winnable games at home, had a winnable game. I think at Texas A&M had a sure winnable game on the road at Vanderbilt and got blasted by Mississippi State in the battle for the Golden Egg. So heading into this year with those two former head coaches, two former coaches of the year in respective Power 5 conferences in Rich Rodriguez and Mike McIntyre, I think it was a real sign of maturity and his own strength by Matt Luke to recognize look, I got to get some help in here, and got McGriff and Longo out and got those two in, and they I think Ole Miss will reap immediate dividends from both. Another good sign is bringing Matt Corral to SEC Media Days, a redshirt freshman who played in the 4 games last year to still maintain eligibility, not to exceed 4. And to bring him, he's the starting quarterback. There was not a quarterback battle in the spring. He's it heading into August camp, and I think they feel really good about him on opening day. I did an Arkansas show early this morning, and they were real surprised, when they asked me who would be favored opening day. And I said, what's already established that the Memphis Tigers are 6.5 point favorite. They were shocked at that, but I'm not, and I don't think anybody should be. Well, let's go over everything. The Tigers are playing at home. The Tigers program right now is humming along better under Mike Norvell, while Matt Luke is still trying to establish some things. They have a more experienced quarterback, the most important position in all of team sport in Brady White, as opposed to Matt Corral. And the last time they played at that stadium with a much better Ole Miss team than the one that'll be going August 31st, Memphis won. I don't think it's any surprise that Memphis should be favored opening day, and I think it'll be a fun game. The Arkansas partisans are looking more to week 2 because they open with Portland State, and I told them all at Ole Miss, we can't be thinking of one thing about week 2. Week 1 got plenty hands full against a mighty fine team and program.
Well, I love the fact. I love that being the opening game.
I do too.
I just think
that's
it's
where
the
that
right
game
thing.
should be played.
Yeah,
I do too, Peter. That's where I want it. Look, I'll take it anywhere on the schedule. I want to keep it. I run afoul a lot of my Ole Miss friends wanting that game. Not only do I want it as the opener. Now, it's a long, long time until it will be played again anywhere at any time. I do think this is the last time that it'll be an opener. And then there's about a 4-year break where both sides are contractually bound with other things. And then maybe around 2023, 24 or so, maybe renew it at some point during the year. But I think this is it for opener. And, the 3 previous played in this kind of contract tranche starting in 14. None of them have been the opener except for this one. The last time it was opening day in Memphis was in 2009. I want to say that might even been a Sunday or Monday afternoon.
I think it was a Monday, if I remember correctly.
45-14 that day.
And I think the Hogs may have maybe have their work to do with Portland State. Let's be honest.
They have no trouble with Portland State if they do. The Chad Morris era will end quickly.
A short and indignity filled era, if that's
especially with a new AD that didn't hire him.
Oh, that's the same thing that's going on with Matt Luke. It's when you have that new AD, it just kind of adds a little uncertainty to everything,
The same but different. Hunter Yurchek from Houston, and with Keith Carter being the interim, and Keith Carter and Matt being friends from being in school together and being athletes at the same time together. Matt in football and Keith in basketball, a little bit different there. I don't think there'll be a permanent AD hired at Ole Miss until a chancellor is hired. Right now, working under a interim chancellor as well at Ole Miss, and that'll probably be late calendar year 2019 or early 2020 hire. And then that new chancellor, he or she, I think will largely dictate who the permanent athletics director will be.
Here's my question. Who will be hired first, permanent AD at Ole Miss or permanent AD at Memphis?
I'm going to say permanent AD at Ole Miss just because they got a little bit of a head start. They got a few weeks notice on it. And A&M's here today, and all the A&M people wanting to ask me about Ross Bjork. I tell them, you're getting a mighty fine man and a really good athletics director. And when Ross got that job, Peter, I texted him congratulations to he and Sonia and their family. And I said, one good thing about it, Ross, you never have to go to another budget committee meeting in your life.
The money is not the issue for
not an issue.
Texas A&M. You ought to be just fine. So we talked a little bit about on the field. Then, of course, you got Georgia as well milling about. Kirby Smart's doing the whole press conference, the reporter big one in the big room as we speak. Do you think the issues that plague Georgia, they were so close to beating Alabama, couple different occasions. I mean, had them as close to dead to rights as you could have Alabama and not be able to get it done. Is that a mental thing with Kirby, with the fake punt, some of the play calls, the way that they played down the stretch? Is that something they can overcome, or is that kind of something that should be a little bit of a red flag for Bulldog fans?
I think it sent a few shockwaves through some. It was really the first kind of, oh no, I can't believe this is happening for Kirby. I love him, and I think he will deliver for them. And they're so hungry for that first national title since Herschel Walker ruled the world. But that one really scared everybody with that game because, if Georgia wins that, they go on and probably win another national title. So it was frightening to see that develop for Georgia, but he still got the program in such good shape. But you compare his 3 years to Mark Richt's first 3 years, and they're very, very, very parallel.
It's I think he's done a heck of a job, and the plan that Georgia has executed. You can't fault the transition. Tennessee showed how the transition away from the long tenured coach can be mismanaged and can tank your program for a decade. Georgia has handled it beautifully. There's no problem.
They have,
but it's kind of like the old analogy I like to use, Brett, when you're playing golf. It's easy enough to go from shooting 100 to shooting 90. 90 to 80 is a little tougher.
Then 80 to 70 is impossible.
Well, going from 74 to 72, those two little strokes are impossible.
Yeah.
And that's where Georgia is right now. They're shooting 74, but boy, you got to get to 72, and you got to find a way to shave those two strokes off, and I just don't know if I see it.
Well, it's also using the golf comparison. The old saying, a PGA Tour player that shoots 72 starves to death. You shoot 71, it's a struggle. It's okay, but it's a struggle. You shoot 70, pretty good life. You shoot 69, you can't spend all the money.
It's really fine margins, but
it is.
When you get to the highest levels, that's ultimately what it comes. That's that whole Nick Saban thing about constantly every day trying to be 100% of whatever your potential is for that day, because that's unfortunately for folks, it's brutal, but that's how you have to approach it if you're going to win at the highest possible level.
Well, that is the Coach Saban mindset, and that is off-putting to a lot of people now. But that's why the history books they're reserved for the revolutionaries, and Nick Saban's one of them. And it's why. And I wanted Phil Savage to name his book. The book he did on Inside the Alabama Football Program was 4th and Goal every day. Kind of that mindset of never let up, really never relax. I know you'll remember the year they were playing LSU in the rematch in the national championship game after LSU defeated them in the classic regular season game. And somewhere out there, some video got out there of the LSU players at a team meeting around the holidays singing Christmas carols, singing Jingle Bells. They ain't singing Jingle Bells in Tuscaloosa. I can guarantee you that. I begged Phil Savage to name his book The Saban Tsunami. He wanted to, and the publishers had him change it to 4th and Goal every day. So that is the mindset. That's the Kirby mindset, and that is the mindset you have to be a winner. Our SEC Media Days coverage brought to you by First Bank. Jason's Deli, the official car of SEC Media Days, the Chevy Tahoe I'm driving from All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. Campbell Clinic, Ronnie Rizzani's in the Regalia Center. Schrader Orthopedic and Stem Cell Treatment Center, and Blue City Cafe on world-famous Bill Street. And our text line, 67129, First Bank text line, First Bank phone line, 360-825. And at First Bank, you will get experienced Memphis bankers that have deep Memphis roots in banking and business expertise and experience. All of them, they know what you need. You need a reliable, trustworthy Memphis banker, not Knoxville, not Nashville, not Birmingham, but right here in Memphis. You get an answer from a First Bank banker that you know, that you live with, that you see in the community, that you're a friend with. They will get you a decision. They make decisions for Memphis right here in Memphis. A direct answer from a First Bank banker you're dealing with. Go online, visit firstbankonline.com. Build your success story with First Bank. That's firstbankonline.com.
Brett, can you stick around? Because I know you got stuff going on, so if you can't, no big deal.
The answer is absolutely, unequivocally yes, I can say with you.
Beautiful. I want to make sure we mention a little bit about Tennessee
We'll do it.
and Texas A&M on the other side.
We'll have Jimmy Himes on today from Knoxville.
Great guy.
He's Mr. Jimmy. Big Orange. Love Jimmy Himes. And I tell you one thing I love about Jimmy. Straight shooter. He is no in-house flack at all. If it's good, he'll say it's good. If it's bad, he'll go in on you.
Well, plenty of Tennessee fans will vouch for that. There's a lot of them that are on the wrong side sometimes with Jimmy because of that very thing. But you're right. If you hear from Jimmy, it's what he believes. He's not carrying water for anybody. That's for sure. Well, Brett, thank you. Appreciate that. We'll hold you on for one more segment. From Hoover. That's Brett Norsworthy with terrific coverage from SEC Media Days in Hoover. Back after this as we continue here on The Experience. We're in the Family Leisure Studios. Real Sports Doug, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Driving is freedom. The freedom to keep moving, to control your destiny, and to choose your path. And now, that freedom fits in the palm of your hand. It's called Ford Pass, the only app that gives you roadside assistance, Ford Pass rewards, and now when you buy or lease a new Ford, earn points you can use toward flexible complimentary maintenance that gives you, well, more freedom. Ford Pass, built to keep you moving. Built Ford proud. Visit your participating Ford dealership to find out about getting flexible complimentary maintenance when you buy or lease a new Ford and sign up for rewards.
Roadside assistance is included for certain Ford owners and available to everyone for a per-service fee. Ford reserves the right to change program details without obligations. Visit your participating dealer or FordPassRewards.com for program rules and restrictions. Ford Pass, compatible with select smartphone platforms, is available via a download.
A good friend of mine often says that golfers are the best athletes. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors. Now, I don't want to embarrass Ed by mentioning his name, but if you stop and think about it, he may be right. Just like the best real estate agent may not be who you think. Like a left tackle in football, a golfer hits it hard off the tee. Like a sprinter, the golfer walks down the fairway to reach his ball. Then like a quarterback who wants to connect with a distant target, the golfer hits the ball again, and in my case, again and again and again. So if you or someone you know is thinking of selling a home, draft your team by interviewing the players. Find out who will block that offensive lineman from knocking your deal down. And find out about the Shellbucks option play. When interviewing, call or email me to find out why people often say, when you want the job done, call Shell Done. You can reach me at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. That's 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. Do it now and don't fumble that ball.
The best golfers in the world are coming to Memphis for the inaugural WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational. Sports 56 and 87.7 FM will be broadcasting live at TPC Southwind throughout the day, Wednesday through Friday of tournament week, keeping you up to date with the latest tournament news and talking with players and officials. Our coverage from TPC Southwind on Sports 56 and 87.7 FM is presented by Landers Ford. It's also brought to you by Curry and Jerk, Miller Lite, Gatlin Insurance, Schrader Orthopedic and Stem Cell Treatment Center, and the Half Shell.
Join our producer extraordinaire Austin Etheridge this Thursday from 11 to noon at Landers Ford, 2082 West Poplar, Collierville. This will be another chance to win World Golf Championship tickets at Southwind, July 24th through 28th. That's this Thursday from 11 to noon at Landers on Poplar in Collierville to practice your putting skills and have a chance to win WGC tickets at Southwind, July 24th through 28th. See you there.
Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurd. This hour is brought to you by Acura of Memphis. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
By request, Tears for Fears. I think CJ's dad requested that, if I'm
He
not
did?
mistaken.
In honor of CJ being gone
In
today.
honor of CJ's being gone. That's right. Thank you for listening.
No, that came out wrong. I'm not happy CJ's gone.
No, I get what you're saying. We're not happy CJ's gone. But we're happy CJ's dad's listening, in spite of the fact that CJ's gone. That's fantastic.
Brett likes it. Brett likes my music choice.
Oh, yeah. Brett, you like Soft Rock Tuesday?
I do, and I like Tears for Fear.
There you go. See, it's
is it Fear or Fears?
Fears. You got Tears and you got Fears. You got the double.
So we got, yeah.
You got the double right there.
Plural on both.
I don't know. You're probably eating some good food, Brett, down there. I don't know if you're eating any Central Barbecue. They are terrific folks, and I've been loading up myself of late. But I've been into the brisket lately. I don't know what I've been on a brisket kick. Sometimes you get on different kicks. I love their wings. I always eat their wings. Like I think they're the best wings in town. I've had tons of great wings.
The turkey sandwich on Poplar at the new location.
Oh, the smoked turkey is wonderful, wonderful. And you know, it's I dare say I'm gonna whisper this quietly. Don't tell anybody. It's kind of healthy. If you just eat the plate.
Why are we apologetic?
Well, you know, I don't. It's like if you're going to Central, chances are, you're like, I'm not really thinking about my diet at this point. But you can get that smoked turkey. You can save a little bit on the and it's so full of flavor. Oh, it's fantastic. But the brisket, if you haven't tried the brisket, they do a wonderful brisket over there. And of course, the pulled pork, love it. Ribs are great. You're not going to have a bad meal. There's nothing you can pick on that menu that won't make you delighted. And terrific folks. And as you said, that new location in East Memphis is wonderful, really doing gangbusters business. And, of course, you got the location on Central, not too far away from Tiger Lane and the Liberty Bowl. You've got the one on Summer.
What an interesting location for a name of Central Barbecue.
I know, it's weird.
Central. Kind of started there.
It's weird, Brad. I don't know. It seems like a strange coincidence.
I love you and Philippe's ads.
Dennis is the best. I take no credit for that. He comes in and does all that stuff, and I'm happy to be part of it.
And I stalked all over your spot. We love Central Barbecue.
No, we do. It's fantastic, and of course the one downtown too, right behind the National Civil Rights Museum. Check it out. Central is fantastic. So the Vols, the Big Orange train rolling through this afternoon in Hoover. And you see Jarrett Garantano, the quarterback, Daniel Batuli, Darrell Taylor, two linebackers, Jeremy Pruitt as well. How did you rate the job Jeremy Pruitt did in year one?
Mostly incomplete. And we'll visit with Jimmy Himes later, and he said really this year is year one, that last year was kind of year zero. It was kind of a throwaway year. It was mostly incomplete. Tennessee had some decent moments, but not a good season by Tennessee standards, not a good season by what Jeremy Pruitt, I think, was expecting going to that year. I still love this hire. I love Jeremy Pruitt. He is a hard-charging, hard-driven person. He's of that fourth and goal every day mentality, and you better really get used to it to be around him, because he's a tough guy, and he will win at Tennessee in time. It may not be this year. I think this year could be another year of 6-6, maybe 7-5, and most UT fans, I think, would accept that, and then storm into next year with a chance to really get good. Garantano had flashes last year, and offensively, I think Tennessee will be okay this year. I'm just worried about both offensive and defensive lines. We know in the line of scrimmage league, everybody say that together at one time here at SEC Media Days, because we are that. If we're not, we sure say that a lot. Tennessee's still very much depleted on both sides, and it's just hard to believe from what they had out there for so long. I mean, you think about Haynesworth and Henderson and just D tackles and offensive linemen, a guy like Leslie Ratliff, a guy like Chad Clifton, the names that you knew when you were in school. I mean, they were just so good on both sides, and they're a long way from that and trying to get back to it.
Well, and that is it's wild to me to think about how things have progressed over the last decade at Tennessee. But it's not just on the football field. I mean, it's off the field, the chancellor's office. I mean, it's just been a wreck. Honestly,
it has been.
It's embarrassing as an alum to see some of the things that have happened over there. And I don't know. I don't know how much you could put stock in it. But I know a lot of the Vegas people, for whatever it's worth, and they know what they're talking about. The 6.5 win total that I see out there, they are banging the over strong. And if you look at the schedule, there should be, 4 games should just be an absolute no-brainer. The fifth one,
that's
probably,
the baseline, isn't it?
Fifth one's probably, I'd say 4.5 is just an absolute no question about it. So really, as per usual, it comes down to those little games in the middle, the South Carolina type game, the Kentucky, Mississippi State. How do you see Tennessee doing? Can they get to that 7 or 8 win mark that would represent a really nice jump for Jeremy Pruitt?
I have them 7-5, 8-4, and that's not a real stretch. Missouri's a real wild card for them late in the year. What will be the dynamic around Mizzou? Will it still be no bowl? Will it be a great year but no bowl? Will it be great year and you can go to a bowl when Tennessee goes to Columbia? And then the whole vexing thing with Vanderbilt. In the last few years, the thing with Missouri in the last few years, Kentucky, used to that soft November schedule for Tennessee, and this year on paper, you look at Tennessee kind of through a historical prism. You see UAB, Kentucky, Mizzou, Vandy. Well, it used to be slam dunk 4-0, didn't it? They could lose all 4 of those this year. They could lose to Billy Clark. They could lose to Stoops. They could lose to Barry Lamar, Dave Odom. They could lose to Vanderbilt again.
Easily, yeah.
And you could lose to South Carolina to end October, but could win all those. Probably won't win them all, probably won't lose them all, but if you won 3 or 4 of those, I think Tennessee would be a strong AutoZone Liberty Bowl team. That might be a little beneath some Tennessee fans' appetite, but that needs to change.
Well, I think it's hard to go back and rethink your whole mindset on your team, but the way that the most Tennessee fans, particularly of a certain generation, my generation a little bit earlier, grew up, it's unusual. You get
spoiled.
You get spoiled. It's hard.
It's natural.
Man. Imagine if Alabama fans, 10, 20 years down the line, all of a sudden.
Well, they went through it, Peter. They went through it, remember?
They did, but it wasn't quite they had some strong peaks.
That's true. That's true. It wasn't as bereft of any success that Tennessee is now in the middle of. But I tell some of my younger Alabama friends, and look, they're enjoying the heyday, the good old days, the times they'll be talking about when they're old men and women. It's right now. But believe it or not, they got a Music City Bowl in their future.
Well, and here's the thing. I didn't realize when I was there, when I went to school at Tennessee, I caught Peyton Manning's final year was my freshman year, 97.
How good is that?
And then we had the national championship year next year, 98. Then, 99 through 01 when I finally was – it was consistently should have been another national championship in 01, just a criminal loss in the SEC championship game. But – little did I know that was I thought that was just kind of that's the way it's going to be. I had no appreciation that was the absolute apex.
But that was
of
really
what it would be.
In Tennessee football history. That was really the only time it was like that. That was the outlier. You go through any decade, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, aughts, and the best one, it was the 90s. It really was the outlier for that level of success. Now, always good, always representative, always very respectable program and proud program, but that was the apex. That was the top. Now, this is the nadir.
I hope so. Because if it's not, then we got some real problems beyond that. So with that in mind, then, as they kind of build out and they figure out the next step, do you think, is it realistic to think that this can end up being a championship contending group in the next 3 to 5 years? Can they? Are they putting the building blocks together to get back to where Georgia is, for example?
Right now, I would say no, but let's have another round of recruiting in this early period in December and then in February for Jeremy Pruitt. I believe in him. I think eventually he will make that turn into thinking about championships. Right now might be a little early, and especially with the prowess of Georgia, Florida getting it right, and Kentucky, South Carolina being very competitive, Mizzou being competitive, right now does not seem like an opening for Tennessee, but things can rapidly change.
How do you feel about the way that the coaching situation has evolved? Teams, the Saban coaching tree is tremendous and is very big and expansive, and it feels like it's connected to pretty much every SEC program in one way or the other. Is that the formula ultimately that's the most sustainable for success, Brett, or do you need to go in a different direction, I don't know, a Mike Leach or something unconventional to beat Saban? Do you have to do something else to beat Saban, or can you beat him at his own game?
I think you on the field of play, you've got to play big boy football, line of scrimmage football, 3rd and 1 or 4th and goal every day mentality. But off the field, think about really the preeminent program right now today around college football. Stylistically, it couldn't be more different than Alabama, and that's sunshine and daffodils at Clemson. I mean, every day is just a ice cream party fun fest at Clemson. It looks fun to play for Dabo, doesn't it? It looks engaging and enjoyable to be in that building at Clemson. It doesn't look like it's boot camp in Paris Island every day like it is around Alabama, like they want to have it around Georgia and Tennessee and with some of the Coach Nick Saban acolytes. That's not a criticism of Coach Nick Saban. It's just that some of those guys, maybe they'd be better off trying to be their own guy instead of trying to be Nick Saban. I think the easiest thing on earth to be is yourself. That's the easiest person you can be. And I think some of those guys are trying too much to emulate and copy and paste everything Coach Saban's doing instead of maybe just freewheeling and being themselves. Dabo's made it work, and Dabo also made this work. And he wanted to carve this. He's become kind of this generation's Coach Bobby Bowden. You know, little bit preacher, proselytizer, a whole lot of head coach.
Well, and that formula has worked for a long time. Jimbo has dabbled in that formula as well, quite a bit. And
you know who really wanted to be it. You know who really wanted that role. You do know, a former mathematics teacher of yours.
My old geometry teacher, who's at Liberty right now.
And it didn't quite work out, did it?
It did not. Although he's still plying his trade for the Flames over at Liberty. So I don't
keep
know.
The flame burning.
I don't know when their media day is, but I know there's he certainly loves to do plenty of the media.
I wonder if he would do the Senate speech he gave here a few years ago when he set a new record for filibustering.
He lay it on thick, I think it's fair to say, from time to time.
But he badly wanted that Coach Bobby Bowden role.
There's no question. He still does. And he may get there with the redemption route.
He sure could. And I sure believe in that because my goodness, I'm sure I've had some redemption.
What do you think of Jimbo in Texas A&M? The fit that we've seen, another incomplete, another new athletic director, as you mentioned, Ross Bjork taking over at Texas A&M. Jimbo getting roundly and correctly excoriated for the way that he left Florida State in a program that I'm not sure Florida State's going to get back. I don't know how they get back into the upper echelon. But he left them in an absolute state. But he's a heck of a coach, and he's got people, including Kellen Mond, who will be there later on. What's the future for Jimbo at Texas A&M?
I think very bright. He wants to put himself in the natural position to be the Saban heir apparent whenever Alabama either goes in decline or Coach Saban retires. And he wants to have his team positioned there. You know, it's amazing how many LSU stories still linger around Jimbo Fisher and even with Scott Woodward, that if things didn't work out for Ed Orgeron, that he would go there. In my understanding, his contract at A&M, if he leaves, he owes them nothing. If they fire him, they owe him every penny.
Jeez.
What a deal.
Well, and it's a ridiculous $75 million deal, 10 years, like $75 million, something like that?
Oh, it's the best deal ever. But A&M, it looks like they're on the verge. I really think in football, men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball, and even golf and some of the other spring sports, there are going to be some national championships won at College Station. Peter, when you go down there, and I would tell anybody in this area, I know Tennessee played down there in 2016, and a lot of Vols fans went, and most of the Western teams have gone. We've been down in 2014, 16, and 18 to College Station. It's streets of gold. It's the perfect campus. It looks like the Stepford wives have taken over the whole place, and everything is just ideal. The integration of the George H.W. Bush Memorial and Library into the campus, the stadium with the physical plant, the dynamic of Kyle Field, the baseball park, Bluebell Park, the new basketball arena that's now kind of getting old, but still so much better than G. Raleigh quiet arena that Shelby Metcalf played in for so long. It's perfect. They're set up, poised, prime to really strike, and I think they will, and I think they will with Jimbo Fisher. It won't be this year, and it may not be next year, but he's building to that.
Well, it won't be for a lack of money, but all the money in the world cannot bridge the gap right now from a talent and from a coaching perspective that Alabama has on just about everybody. In the
what
West.
What will be the first sign of Alabama decline? When will we may have to look back and go, yeah, that was it, but I wonder what it'll be. I mean, it's not going to be all of a sudden this year they go 6-6. That's not happening. Or even 10-2. That's not happening this year. I wonder what will be the first sign of real Alabama decline under Nick Saban.
You could argue that the national championship game was the sign that they got blown out. I mean,
that was the first one.
You could argue. I mean, it depends on how things go this year. But if things are just not quite right, then you could look back and say maybe that was the time. I mean, it's always easier to write these things retroactively than it is to predict when it's going to happen. But if that's not the case, Brad, and I don't really think it will be, honestly. I don't think it'll happen until he leaves. I don't see Nick. I mean, the way Nick is, he's pretty self-aware. He doesn't need the money. He certainly doesn't need the acclaim. He does it because the guy really likes to do it. It's what he appreciates. And I think when he's done or when he feels like he can't do it, he won't do it. I don't think he's going to keep doing it at a diminished level.
But I do think he has to have it.
Yeah, I think. But at some point, right? He's 67?
Turns 68 October 31st.
Okay.
That's correct.
So 67, I mean, 4 or 5 more years. I think at some point in his mind, the switch will flip and he will be, to the extent that he can ever be fulfilled, I think he will. It'll happen. He's not going to die on the sideline. And when that happens, then that's when Alabama has the biggest decision to make, because that is a job. I don't know. You want it, but at the same
biggest
time,
shoes ever.
You don't want it. You want it, but you don't want it, because that is that's impossible to fill those shoes.
It'll be bigger than Ray Perkins filling the shoes of Coach Bryant.
Oh,
it'll be bigger.
I mean, who could? What can you do as a coach? Well, you got to win the next 5 basically championships to compete. Oh God.
Yeah, and so many people throw around Dabo Swinney's name for that. I think that second national championship sealed him retiring and the stadium being named for him.
Oh yeah.
Look, I mean, he's bigger than Frank Howard's Rock. He's bigger than Danny Ford. He's the legendary figure all time of Clemson football, Dabo Swinney.
I mean, Dabo. He's got the name Dabo. It's perfect. It fits perfectly. And people talk about him replacing Nick. Why would he want to do that? Why on earth would what does he not have at Clemson that he could have at Alabama?
That pull is strong. It did pull Ray Perkins from the NFL. It did pull Gene Stallings from the NFL. That pull to the capstone is strong, but to be there and to be the legend there, why change that? Look, anybody's thinking about going out for lunch today, give Jason's Deli an idea, and it's not just for lunch. Also think about Jason's Deli at the dinner time. The meats, the cheese, the spreads, and all the great salads. The Mesa chicken salad, chicken club salad, the nutty mixed up salad, the Big Chef salad.
Can I give you a little tip too? Because this is
sure.
I used to with Jason's. It's one of the things I like to do with Jason's. I like the soup, so I get like 3 or 4 little cups of soup and just kind of sample the soups. They got great chili. They got phenomenal chili.
They got great chicken noodle soup.
Yeah, the white chicken. Oh, and the white chicken chili and the chicken noodle soup, and the vegetable soup is really rich. And
the beef stew,
love it. It's really good.
The beef stew, and unlike a lot of people, you get a whole lot more stew than you do beef. At Jason's Deli, it's a lot of beef. Healthy food, plenty of organic food to choose from. Great salad bar, over 30 items just on the salad bar. Catering anytime, anywhere. And treat yourself after the meal to the free ice cream. Locations on Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com. And next week, they will be feeding, I think, the players at the golf tournament and the volunteers. And we're going to have people from Jason's Deli on with us from the golf tournament next week.
Oh, I cannot wait. It's next week. It's incredible.
Oh, I'm ready.
Oh, man. It's Jordan Spieth committing as well, and I don't know what's happened to Jordan Spieth lately, but
Tiger had the early morning presser. I was up at 5 watching his his presser at the Open Championship live to see if he made any announcement news. He made no future scheduling news, but we're still waiting maybe today into tomorrow for him to make a little news. Friday's the deadline, and we'll be covering it.
I hope so. We will find out soon enough. Thank you so much, Brett. Again, hopefully we can chat again tomorrow.
You got it.
Around the same time.
You give me a time, and you know I'll be here.
You're doing terrific work. Thank you so much, Brett. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Peter.
That's our friend Brett Norsworthy joining us from Hoover for SEC Media Days, again sponsored by First Bank. Jason's Deli, Campbell Clinic, All-Star Chevrolet, Ronda Grisani's, Schrader Orthopedic and Stem Cell Treatment Center, and world-famous Blue City Cafe right there on Beale Street. You can celebrate your Grizzlies Summer League title in any of those places. I'm sure they would appreciate that very much. Back after this, as we close out this edition of what has been a championship edition, frankly, of the experience, even if we don't have CJ. Peter and Austin with you here, Real Sports Dog, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through the midday with Sports 56 Middays. Delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 till 1 on Sports 56 and 87.7 FM.
Liberty Mutual Insurance presents. And Doug.
Limu, there's a woman threatening to sign up for generic car insurance. Grab your birdseed and let's go.
I'm going to sign these papers right here, right now.
Ma'am, drop the pen. Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Thanks, Limu, Emu, and Doug.
Don't thank us, thank Liberty Mutual. But also thank us.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Equal housing insurer. State laws apply.
Dad, what are you doing?
Cramming for college.
I'm the one going to college.
Yeah, but we need to figure out how we're going to pay for it all.
Discover Student Loans.
Discover does student loans?
Yeah, they're one of the top private student loan lenders in the country. It takes 15 minutes or less to apply, and there are no fees for the life of the loan. Best of all, I can earn cash rewards if I get good grades.
Really?
Yeah, we still have time to apply and get a great rate.
So I can just chill. College kids still say that, right?
No one says that, Dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Visit discoverstudentloans.com to apply today. Limitations apply.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai. If you're the owner of a company and you're tired of a dirty office building, or maybe you're tired of dirty restrooms, or floors and carpets that are filthy, or windows that you can't even see through, I've got a solution. Let Trinity be your cleaning solution. Trinity Professional Services. They're putting professionalism back in cleaning. They specialize in stripping and waxing and buffing floors, in cleaning carpet. Just make it seem like it's spring outside. Window cleaning where you see through and everything shines. Commercial janitorial services specializing in final construction cleaning. Hey, the people that own this company, they are big construction people. They know what needs to be done. So if you would like it done the right way, call Todd Pope or Tommy Ferrari, the former Tiger quarterback, at 833-6773. 833-6773. It's Trinity. They're your cleaning solution.
Welcome back to the Peter Edmiston Experience with CJ Hurt. This hour is brought to you by Acura of Memphis. Here once again are Peter and CJ.
Time. Soft Rock Tuesday. I don't know. This is the strongest close to Soft Rock Tuesday. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, it was my last request.
It's these requests we can't just do. We gotta vet them. I don't know. This is it's okay. It's okay. It's just it's an unfortunate way to finish.
My original plan was to go with Foreigner. Would that have been better?
Oh, it would have been much better. Oh, you can still go with Foreigner if you want to. That's I feel like it's probably the right thing to do. Memphis right now up in Newport, Rhode Island, speaking to the assembled media and Mike Norvell and the players talking about a lot of different issues jumping in. It's amazing to think we are 6 weeks away. It's happening a lot faster than you think. Also, see, that's much better.
Is that better?
That's much better.
Is that a better finish?
Yeah, I mean that's much. We're doing Soft Rock Tuesday. This is Foreigner is. You could feel it. You can feel their emotion. This whole thing. So, man, it's beautiful. Just have that playing throughout the show. Really.
Just background music for the whole show.
Right here. Listen to this. Oh. You hear how that kind of just. Oh yeah, you can do this. That's emotion right there. You just feel it. In my life, there's been heartache and pain. What a great song. Text at 67129. Requests for next week. Austin can write these down. If you got requests for next week, write them down. We're going to vet them though. Not just going to get anything through. We got to really work hard to make sure we get the right thing for folks. SEC Media Day is going on. AAC Media Day going on. It's very busy in the world of football. As I mentioned, Jordan Spieth announced his commitment to the World Golf Championships FedEx St. Jude Invitational that will be next week. I can't believe it's next week, man. And I'm glad we're getting all this rain out of the way. I hope that this is going to be it. And that because if we time this thing right, you get a nice little rain, nice little soak, and the course can be in fabulous shape by the time next week rolls around in the tournaments here. If we keep getting soaked, though, the ground is going to be super saturated. Jordan Spieth will be part of proceedings, and Jordan Spieth is in desperate need of something positive to happen. He has really hit the skids of late. Still got a name. This was one of the first tournaments that he was in. As they extended, I know the crew over there, Phil Cannon, rest in peace, Phil, and Daryl and everybody. Jordan Spieth was the first go around, and we're hoping that he would reciprocate and would come back. He hadn't done it yet, but obviously with the profile of the tournament changing, that changes everything. And he comes back. Still waiting, as Brett mentioned, for word on Tiger. You have to enter by Friday. And you're wondering about Rory. I don't know if Rory's going to be able to make it with how much this means to him at Royal Portrush and the Open and all that. We're going to talk a bunch tomorrow about the whole situation with the Open Championship, because our man Greg Hines is going to come in, and we've got lots of predictions to make, lots of discussion, and of course about next week as well. A reminder also, and you've heard some of the spots, and Austin's been around. I'll be around. Doing a lot of hits around the area, but we'll have tickets to give away for the World Golf Championships, and it's a tough ticket now. You know, that ticket has become a lot tougher with the field jumping up and getting better and better. But we will have those tickets for you towards the end of this week, next week, throughout. You're going to keep listening right here to Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1, 87.7 to make sure, because it is going to be big time stuff. Big time stuff for this area. I don't know if it's going to be as big as winning a Summer League championship. I mean, it's
probably not.
What could be? Grizzlies winners 95-92. They are Summer League champions. Brandon Clark, the MVP of Summer League, the MVP of the championship game, and a champion himself, finishing with 15.16 rebounds, 3 blocks. Was just a monster defensively, and the standout player of the entire summer. Belongs to the Memphis Grizzlies. It's a new era of Grizzly basketball, and one that's quite exciting, I have to say, even if it's not necessarily going to be very successful to begin with. I don't think you could expect a whole lot of victories, but I do think you can expect a lot of excitement. And I don't know if your experience has been this way, Austin, but I think fans have been thirsting for something like this. Like, I don't know that anyone wants to lose. I don't know if anyone's excited about losing a bunch of games. And maybe as the season goes on next year and people realize this team is actually going to win 25 to 30 games, which means you're going to lose about 50 or more games. maybe that gets tiresome, but I feel like people have a good, at least at this early point, have a good grasp of what this rebuild means. And I think they're genuinely excited about having something different, even if it's not going to be necessarily initially successful, something new and exciting and different. I think people are thirsting for that.
Yeah, and here's my only concern is that Grizzlies fans will suddenly think that they're going to be a playoff team now because they won the Summer League championship. Don't get your hopes up too high, but it's fun. It's definitely fun to see them win.
Well, I hope and that is true. I think people. I will see, but I think at least at this point, people have pretty good perspective on it. I say that now. That may change over the course of time. There's still moves to be done. There's still things that are going to have to be taken care of. But I think at this point, at least, people seem to have a pretty good grasp on the reality of where they're at as it pertains to actually, winning games. You're developing young talent. It's a little bit like Atlanta last year. You got some exciting young players. Your Trae Young, your John Collins, your Kevin Huerters. These guys. They'll add some more guys to that mix, and Hunter and Reddish and all those this year. But they didn't win a bunch of games. They had a lot of fun plays, and they played better in the second half of the season. They actually were pretty competitive, but they didn't win a bunch of games. Okay, you know what? Like, people may come to that realization late, but I think they're going to come to it. But I think it was time either way. It was time for Mike and Mark. It's time for a new thing, and that new thing is finally here in Memphis. Big thank you to Omari Sankofa, my colleague over at The Athletic, for joining me this morning. Also, big thanks to Brett Norsworthy for more terrific work from SEC Media Days. We got Greg Hines coming your way tomorrow morning to talk a bunch of golf and what should be a fabulous Open Championship week. Also, more Brett from Hoover coming up next. Middays, Greg has got a big show planned for you. I know you're going to be excited about that, so you're going to want to stick around. Keep it locked. Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Family Leisure's pool clearance sale is July 8th through the 21st. Above ground pools starting at $11.99. 24-foot pools starting